Greece's Transport Minister has resigned over a deadly rail crash. At least 36 people have died after two trains travelling at speed collided head-on the same track. The station master's been arrested and two others have been detained for questioning by local police. The Foreign Minister has touched down in India ahead of the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. Penny Wong will spend 2 days in back-to-back meetings with her counterparts. The war in Ukraine will likely be a main discussion point, a contentious issue given India's refusal to condemn Russia's invasion and the attendance of Russia's Foreign Minister. Penny Wong says she supports the Indian PM Narendra Modi's calls for peace.
Prime Minister Modi said last year, now is not a time for war. We agree with him. No matter how many words Mr Lavrov utters, nothing can detract from what they are doing and what they have done to the people of Ukraine.
The Cairns community is coming to terms with the extradition of the man suspected of killing a young local woman in 2018. Rawinder Singh will fly to Queensland from Melbourne in the coming days after being extradited from India. Douglas Shire Mayor Michael Kerr says regardless of the outcome, it'll still bring closure.
We need closure. Quite often people have said that, what if it's not him? Is that person still out there? Am I safe to be walking along the beach?
The cost of stamps could rise and the letter delivery system could be overhauled to future-proof Australia Post. The government-owned company is undergoing its biggest overhaul in 214 years. Post office licensees and agents have 8 weeks to lodge submissions on how they think the government should modernise the service. People can now download an app to view a variety of medical records. Research found the use of My Health Record increased by almost 300% in the last financial year, prompting the need for an app. The Australian Digital Health Agency Chief Clinical Advisor Dr Steve Hambleton says the app called My Health will be easy to use.
We did a little bit of co-design with consumers to make it simple, so it's very clear about what's in the app and it should be as easy to use as we can possibly make it.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia is in a strong position after the opening day of the third test against India in Indore. After losing the toss, the Aussies dominated with the ball, dismissing the home side for only 109. Matt Kuhneman outstanding with figures of 5 for 16. The Aussies then reached 4 for 156 in reply at stumps, with Usman Khawaja top scoring with 60, while South Aussie Travis Head managed just the 9. Meantime, the Redbacks will begin their Sheffield Shield clash against Queensland at the Gabba later this morning, desperate for a win to keep their season alive. Port Adelaide will be without Travis Boak and Junior Rioli for tonight's practice match against Fremantle in WA. Boak had a fitness test yesterday after suffering some badly bruised ribs the week before, but won't be risked, while Rioli has come back to Adelaide with the flu. The Crows, meantime, will have a light run today ahead of their practice match against West Coast tomorrow night. Meantime, Brisbane coach Chris Fagan has signed a 2-year extension, keeping him at the club until 2025. The Lions have named Lachie Neale and Harris Andrews as co-captains. Neale says they'll make a good combination.
Really excited by it. We get to share the load, bring different qualities with our leadership style. I think we reach across the group really well with our relationships and I feel like it's going to be a really good partnership.
The NRL season will kick off tonight with the Parramatta Eels taking on the Melbourne Storm. And 2 games in the English Premier League this morning will kick off this half hour, with Arsenal up against Everton, while Liverpool will take on Wolverhampton. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now the FIVEAA forecast.
Scintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy and 24 today, sunny tomorrow, 27, 28 on Saturday and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. At the moment, 16. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is FIVEAA Breakfast.
5 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday, the 2nd of March on FIVEAA Breakfast. We're off to the US before 7 o'clock this morning. Matt Abraham will join us. We'll dissect the spin of the week with Matt.
Out of 10, every time.
Chairman of the Adelaide Football Club, John Olson, will be on the program after 8 o'clock this morning to talk about a bold 5-year vision for the club that involves 100,000 members and, importantly, a men's premiership. He'll be on the show after 8 o'clock today. And also, Sarah McLeod, who is playing as part of 27 Club at the Adelaide Fringe, will join us after 8:30 today. David Pemberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, folks. Good morning, Will. Good news. Crows, get the street posters ready and put the money aside for the merch, because within the next 5 years we're winning the Premiership.
It's good to be able to plan it, isn't it?
It's good to know that it's coming.
Get your grand final tickets now.
Yeah. Make sure you're a gold member so you can get access, or, maybe hopefully we'll be in talks with the AFL about getting our hands on a couple of doubles, do our annual competition to send a lucky Crows fan off to watch us not just make but win the AFL grand final.
Next 5. I feel comfortable. I slept easier knowing we're going to win one of the next 5.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news. I guess it's one of those things in life where, if you want to get all sort of, what's that corporate psychology organisation that does a lot of work? Certainly not Collective Minds. There's another one called Leading Minds.
Leading Teams.
Leading teams. Sort of visualise greatness.
Oh, you think sort of, what do they call it? Positive affirmation. That sort of idea.
See the ball, be the ball.
Manifest your dreams.
Yeah.
I suppose what else are you aiming to do? It's your sort of reason for existing, isn't it?
It is your whole raison d'etre. If I can speak a bit of French early in the morning.
It's sports.
Good thing Lucy isn't in the studio. She didn't hear that.
Sports seems to be the field of human endeavour where we're most sensitive to predictions of success or greatness, where people are most sceptical of it. Because in business, if you say we're going to aim to double our profits in the next 5 years, people go, yeah, okay, cool. Or we're going to expand into Melbourne in the next 5. Like all this kind of stuff, you say, well, good on you, that's great. But in sport, people were inherently sceptical. You say, well, are you really?
The funny thing too is that not only are people inherently more sceptical, they become bizarrely even more angry than they do in any other field of human endeavour.
Well, here's the reason, I think. Because I think the one area in the world where we still believe in sort of karma and mystics and signs is sport. It's sport. Sport is like a medieval Dark Ages village where you hang out things to ward off the plague and burn the witches. We still don't move chairs when you've kicked 5 goals in a row. My
wife's got a lucky pair of socks that she wears when we watch the game
in
at
sport,
home.
we allow ourselves to suddenly pretend science never happened. That's why we don't like predictions. That's my theory why we don't like predictions on, we're going to win a premiership in the next 5 years. Don't jinx it.
Just so we don't sound like we're sitting here ridiculing the Crows, didn't Port say they were going to win 3?
Yeah, Koshy said that. 3 with a margin of error of 3.
So they could have won 6.
That's what he would say.
Well, they've almost lost 6 prelims, haven't they, in the last decade?
It's been a few.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we picked the wrong day to pick on David Koch. David Koch, yesterday, we had him on the show, as we always do on a Wednesday, and he was coming in hot yesterday, Koshy, because he just absolutely torn apart the Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, by asking him some very politely worded and what should have been very obvious questions. About, all right, well, if you're going to go after people's super up to the value of $3 million, what about the family home?
No intention. I've got no intention.
He discussed it yesterday on our show, but obviously Will and I were broadcasting at the time, so it's not like we sit here watching other programs or listen to other programs. So we didn't actually see. I watched that interview yesterday, and, it's one of those things. Sam Maiden has written a really good column about it in today's Tizer, about the extent to which poorly answered questions in politics can be like chewing on your boot. This was almost like a pre-made negative attack ad for the Liberals for the next election, that interview. I think we'll be seeing a lot of it over the coming 2 years.
Your point is the key one, and Koshy's a terrific interviewer, but this should have been the easiest of easy questions to bat away, and Anthony Albanese demonstrated at about 9:01, I think, when Sunrise finished, how easy it was when he went on, interviewed and asked about capital gains tax on the family home. Will not happen, never, full stop, exclamation mark. I have no idea what in the hell Jim Chalmers was doing.
Well, I think Jim Chalmers' problem is he thinks he's Adam Smith. He thinks he's what's his name? John Maynard Keynes?
Yeah. I think if he thought he was Adam Smith, he wouldn't be talking about a tax on the family home.
No, that's true. Adam Smith was the small government guy, wasn't he?
That's right.
What was his book? The Wealth of Nations.
Wealth of Nations.
So I've never read any of these books. You would have read them for your economic studies, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I definitely read parts of Keynes and Rawls and Locke and Smith. Rawls was all about the veil of ignorance. Anyway, that's all boring stuff.
Rawls. When you said Rawls, I was immediately thinking of the terrific African-American jazz singer Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls is terrific. A lot of our listeners would have seen Lou Rawls in the 80s, 70s even. Is
there a single issue or a tax-related conversation you have in Australia that's more emotive and likely to fire people up than the idea that there's a tax on the family home?
I reckon the only other one will be death taxes. But I guess a tax on the family home is kind of a death tax anyway, because it's when the family home kicks into play.
The fundamental thing that Jim Chalmers, I think, that answer demonstrated is a total failure to grasp the degree to which even people not affected by the super changes now wonder if the government has a credibility issue on A, keeping promises, and B, rating the sorts of things that historically we don't talk about. He just had no sense that there might be there's a bit of suspicion around the government now, and leaving any wiggle room on those answers was disastrous. But he clearly had no concept of what normal people are talking about.
Well, this is the thing where, politics, you inevitably end up surrounded by yes men. And people are all earning, good money and spend most of their life in Canberra, which is, I like to say, is only 10 minutes drive from Australia. They got no... the great thing for us working here at 5AA is we sit here in real time getting phone calls from the public, getting texts from the public on the Dutton's text line. You actually get a really good sense of what mainstream sentiment is on issues. And it's so funny, I always think back to that thing I did in 2001 when the then editor of the paper in Sydney, Campbell Reid, said, we've got to find a way of making this election campaign more interesting. And almost half jokingly, I said, what we should do is get a really beaten up old car and we'll do a road trip, 10 electorates in 10 days, driving in a 1967 Holden HR Premier. And we got the electoral maps. That was what we used to get around. And it was the September 11 election. We interviewed 500 people, and 500 of them said John Howard was going to win. 500. Every single person said John Howard's going to win this election. And that included Labor voters in the Hunter Valley, like blokes who were coal miners, and, that included blokes in Western Sydney who were, working on the side of the road, digging ditches, like real hardcore Labor voters, included a fair few Liberal voters too. But even the Labor voters went, crikey, after September 11, no one's going to turf out John Howard. Everyone's really worried about national security. It's the only thing they care about. And at the end of that campaign, people had just got off the bus with Kim Beagsley and they were going, see, I've seen that stuff you've been writing in the telly. Bit over the top about Howard's going to romp it in. The mood on the bus is excellent.
Oh, good.
I mean, the bus is like, it's almost like people are sort of being quietly gassed into believing what's patently not true.
Rob on the Dutton's text line says, it's a good time to be in Adelaide. 3 power premierships and 1 Crows one. We're going to be in constant celebration mode for the next 5 years. The Vics will be shaking in their boots. Oh, speak it into existence, Rob.
Yeah,
I like it. Dutton's text line, 0480 1395. We've got some news headlines for you next.
The Southgate GWM and Haval 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Be quick, don't miss the 22 plate clearance. Only at Southgate GWM, Main South Road, Brunella.
LVD 152780.
Phil Hoffman Travel, Insight Vacations and Trafalgar invite you to explore the best that Britain and Europe have to offer. See the highlights of Spain and Portugal, the country roads of Scandinavia, or discover Britain and Ireland with up to 25% off tours worldwide this year. Uncover a world of new experiences on your next journey with award-winning touring companies Insight Vacations and Trafalgar. Hurry, offer ends 16th of March 2023. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel or visit pht.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Now, if your wallet's been feeling the burn, you can save cash and live cheaper with Cheapers Chips Hot Buys.
Oh, I tell you what, how good are Cheapers Chips? And particularly at this time of pressing economic cost of living stuff, get in. Dogs go wacko with schmackos. Every dog loves schmackos. We all know that. But the people at Cheapers Chips want to make them even more affordable. Pick up schmackos beef straps. 1.2 kilograms, just $21.99.
Cheapest Chips fighting a rearguard action against the RBA.
That's right.
Fill the snack cupboard with assorted 175-gram chips, 2 for $6.
This is the big one here. Keep your dishes, glasses and kitchenware sparkling clean with Finish 110-pack dishwashing tablets for just $18.99. That's crazy.
No need to cut back on personal hygiene in these austere times. The Batiste 200ml dry shampoo is just $7.29, and you can grab 3 2-litre True Blue soft drinks for only $5. That's right, David, $5.
The savings keep coming with 8-pack Pop-Tarts, only $7.49, and Will, having just alluded to matters hygienic, assorted Lynx 100 to 150-gram deodorants, that's ball or aerosol, buy 2, get 20% off.
Check out this week's catalogue for more hot buys in-store and online. Save cash and live cheaper with Cheapers Chips.
How does a life in Henley Beach sound? Just imagine sitting by your pool on a hot summer's day with friends and family and not a worry in the world. With $250,000 in your bank, this could be your reality if you win the $3.5 million Scott Salisbury Homes grand prize in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. To see full lottery details and get your tickets, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14311.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
17 after 6 news headlines on this Thursday morning. Some more of your Dutton's text in a moment as well. The 11-year-old boy hit by a train on Tuesday remains in a stable condition in ICU. He was struck whilst on his way to school at Evanston Gardens. His dad, Marvin, has told 7 News that he's praying for the best.
I always hold his hand saying that you're going to stay with me, and he just keep on fighting and keep strong.
It's just unbelievably sad, that story. Yeah. Shocking.
A new app is giving Australians better access to their medical records. The My Health app has been launched by the Australian Digital Health Agency. Chief Clinical Advisor Dr. Steve Hambleton says it's an easier and more secure way for people to find information.
See their medical information, their pathology results, their vaccines, allergies, even hospital discharge summaries will be there. It's powered by the My Health record.
It's probably good, as we talk about trying to take things out of the realm of the GP to try and free up spaces that people can get to, having to do follow-up appointments for results that are clear, or learning that everything's A-OK.
Or when you've got an annual test that you need to get done on one of your kids for something.
Correct.
And you go, oh, hang on, we need a referral. Crikey.
Yeah, the idea that you might be able to digitise part of that makes a lot of sense, I reckon.
Some of the laws and rules around this are just so befuddling. Like if you have a condition with your kid where you need to get them checked just as a matter of course every 12 months, if they haven't been to the doctor within the past 12 months, you need to make a booking to go in to make a physical appointment to walk and go, hi, there's nothing wrong with him, but we do need to go back to get this test. Okay, here's your referral. And you think, isn't this at a time when everything's so congested in the medical system? Why can't things like that be ironed out?
Absolutely.
Crazy.
The Foreign Minister has touched down in India ahead of the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. Penny Wong will spend 2 days in back-to-back meetings with her counterparts, discussing stability in the Indo-Pacific region and other issues. Russia's Foreign Minister is also attending the summit. Methamphetamine is being smuggled into Australia from Afghanistan in an alarming rate since the Taliban took control. Not big customs guys. Since 2021, more than 250 kilos of Afghan-produced meth has been seized before getting to Australia.
I suppose the Taliban are more worried about other things like, stopping women from getting an education and, banning people from using satanic devices such as televisions and radios and all that sort of stuff to worry about things like stopping the drug trade. But it's all about priorities, I guess.
It's a good lesson too, is it not, in the idea that sometimes people say, well, why do we care what's going on in these other countries? Who runs them and why do we get involved? Well, because tons worth of illegal drugs starts coming from them if they're run by, a bunch of outlaws.
It's weird. The same people that complain about people smuggling, and oh god, these boat people are turning up. The same ones that say, well, why are we giving our money to a country like Afghanistan to keep it stable?
Disturbing story out of New South Wales. This is almost had an unprofessional moment on the news last night where this one came up. A baby was filmed being given an e-cigarette. Police
I'm no
confirm-
expert, but that strikes me as poor parenting.
Yeah, the police confirm. Well, this is what makes it worse. There's an element of this that even somehow kicks into a different level. Police confirmed they were called to the home on the state's mid-north coast to carry out a welfare check on the 10-month-old. It was a 10-month-old. They put a vape in its mouth, filmed it, and uploaded it. A room full of people all chuckling and finding it hilarious. To what I guess they presumed would be an audience of friends and people who would too find it hilarious.
It's scary that their circle of friends, that they thought they had half a chance of eliciting a few laughs out of it. That's extraordinary.
Exactly. Researchers have used DNA from ancient eggshell fragments to discover more about Madagascar's extinct elephant birds. A team of Australian experts examined 1,000-year-old fossils, finding genetic differences in the giant birds, which were around 3 metres tall and weighed 500 kilos.
Is an elephant bird a dodo? Because Madagascar's right near Mauritius, and the dodo...
Dodos weren't 3 metres tall, though, were they?
No,
they were tiny birds.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. They basically look like big albatrosses.
3
Dodos.
metres tall, 500 kilos is a big animal.
An elephant
Certainly
bird.
a big flying animal.
You wouldn't want to be standing underneath one if it relieved itself, would you? You could drown.
16.
You got a bit of bird poo on you. Don't worry, it's meant to be good luck.
16 degrees right now outside, 24 the expected top today. Sort of the last of the mild days for until Monday, because tomorrow's 27 and sunny, Saturday's 28 and sunny, Sunday's 29. The morning is sunny, but then there might be a shower or two as the change comes through, and it gets cool and a little bit drizzly for Monday and Tuesday next week. 22 on Monday with up to 2 mils of rain. Tuesday's 20 with a mil. And then Wednesday, 21 and cloudy.
Got to say, the story I'm still marvelling about, I tried to read everything I could about it last night. The Peruvian chap with the mummy, with the original yummy mummy, mummified
Juanita.
Mrs. Juanita. I wonder how he coped when they just broke the news to him that Juanita's actually a bloke.
Love finds a way.
It does. It does.
If he was able to look...
Man gets lonely in the Peruvian highlands.
If he was able to get over the fact... She was 800 years old, had her organs removed, and was constantly wrapped up. I reckon this is small fry.
Yeah, the gender part's just another little bump on the road, and what's been a relationship that a lot of people still struggle to see how it's worked.
Tom Wren's in the 5AA Breakfast Studio. 10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing. Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth, and Elizabeth. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. I'll come off the long run because not many players are able to come off the long run in India at the moment because it's all set for spinners. The absolute tripe that has been dished up over there in terms of a cricket wicket is utterly disgraceful. Now, I am all for low-scoring tests. I love Australia winning, but I couldn't really care less as long as I see a great contest. But what is being served up right now is beyond a joke. It is time the ICC or the cricketing bodies do something because the game is laughable at the moment. The level of corruption and, deceitfulness and just the way things are being, engineered to try and get the result for the home side is terrible.
Some of those wickets, I mean, it looked like a day 5 wicket, didn't it?
The ball's going, the surface is coming up in the first 20 minutes. You usually see that on day 5. Now, I know people would say, but that's what we're used to, but I just think it's too skewed. And the only way, unfortunately, it's going to change is if Australia wins. And then they go, maybe this didn't work for us. We have to do something different.
Well, against all odds, on day 1, it kind of looked like that might be what happened.
Exactly. So that's the best treatment for it. But
we batted really well. I watched it
really
that.
well.
And, Trav wasn't terrible, and he got
just shuffled too far across.
He did. But crikey, Khawaja batted beautifully.
He's actually had a pretty good tour. He's made 2 half centuries now. In what are really difficult conditions.
We can't win this series though. We can tie it.
We can tie it. Yeah, and a tie would be good. And it also.
But we don't. We've got to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy back off them, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what it does mean is the Test Championship, which is the 2 best sides for the year. If we win a Test match, India can't make it, and we will be ahead of them because of previous results, etc. So that's important. But it would be nice to win a couple to draw this series. That would be a good result.
Was that the first 5 that our new spinner has taken, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even in the touring party at the start of this Test series.
What's his name?
Matt Kerneman.
He's the guy with the glasses, isn't he?
No, that's Murphy.
No, that's Todd
Murphy. I got the wrong guy.
Yeah. Another one who wasn't part of the touring party. 5 for 16, Kerneman.
There's a sense, we talk about karma in sport to start the morning, there'd be a sense of karma with a bunch of spinners that most Australians couldn't pick out of a lineup.
Yeah.
Tearing through India on day one because of a pitch they prepared to be so spin-friendly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful story?
It's wild. Look, I still think there's a chance this match could be over today. By the end of the day, if Australia gets bowled, I think a lead of 100 might be enough. But I think it'll be absolutely over by day 3, early day 3.
With 50 runs ahead.
50 runs ahead, which I think will be I think that's already a very good lead. I think.
Should we declare?
Yeah. Boys, I can't wait for your chat with John Olson at 8:20 this morning. I love bold plans. Some of the things they want to do in the next 5 years, the Crows. The membership tally of 100,000, great. Community programs, fantastic. Relocating the club to Thebarton by 2026.
What's the most ambitious part of the plan?
Is
it winning a premiership or getting the local council people to agree about where the damn headquarters goes?
Well, I reckon the one that people care about the most is the premiership. And if you were to ask me right now, yay or nay, will they do it in 5 years' time if we're still sitting here? Hopefully we are. They're closer now than what they were 2 years ago. Can I see it? Yeah, I think they can make the finals. Who knows from there? But it's going to be hard. But you know what? Everyone laughed at Richmond when they said we'll win 3 flags in the next 5 years, and I think they did.
They did it. And what's the downside?
Exactly.
You don't go to jail for getting your prediction wrong.
Spot on.
Why not?
So good on them for going out there and having a crack. And they are. You can see the list is building. It's finally on the way up. They haven't made finals for 5 years, though. Got to get there first. Got to do it this year. But I like the plan.
What was the last year they made the finals?
2017. It was the grand
final. The grand final year?
Yeah, it's too long. Comfortably the longest period of time. I think the longest previously was 3 years the Crows had missed finals consecutively. So it's too long. Crows are used to making finals. Got to do it this year.
You know the big story that no one's talking about, Rennie, and it's probably not a sports story, it's more of an X-file. Maybe Fox Mulder and Dana Scully need to be onto this, but the remarkable reality of when you go to King's Reserve, where the Crows are going to build their headquarters, you actually turn invisible. There's not a lot of reporting's done on this, because apparently there are people there all the time, but every time I drive past, it looks completely empty. So I think they need to get someone onto this. ASIO or something. There's a masking property that goes on. I'm not sure what it is, but there's some very sophisticated camouflage that's clearly being used. Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
10-year warranty, 10 years cap price servicing, Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth. Lots of good Dutton's texts coming through. Dutton's 3 dealerships and 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Dutton's easy to do business with. We'll get to some of those right after 5AA News.
Hi, I'm Kate Stock from Good 360 Australia. At Good 360, we help people and the planet by creating a circle of good, connecting businesses with new, unsold goods to people in need, so nothing goes to waste and everyone benefits. If you're a business willing to donate goods or would like to make a financial donation, get in touch. Or, if you're a charity or disadvantaged school, register via our website to order the goods you need at good360.org.au.
Oh, I used to dread looking in the mirror each morning.
At Lidham's Dental, we'll do more than transform your smile. We'll transform your entire outlook on life.
I realise now hiding my smile hid my personality.
No matter the condition of your teeth now, our all-on-4 treatment is simple, comfortable, and it only takes a day.
In 24 hours, I've reversed 24 years of distress.
New smile, new you, in a day. Visit lidhamsdental.com.au.
I've been round the block a few times, so not a lot surprises me. But this concept really got me. Retirement rentals at Warner Close Retirement Living. Yep, you don't need to compromise your independence. Warner Close Retirement Living offers modern units in a supported environment just 40 minutes down the freeway. It's a great retirement lifestyle that offers the best of both worlds, support and freedom. Find out more at warnerclose.com.au.
The Southern Volkswagen 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range. And vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 22 plate clearance. Only at Southern Volkswagen.
LVD 152780.
At Coles, we're helping your budget go further with big savings on big brands. Save $9 on Nescafe Blend 43 coffee 500 gram tin. Now $17. That's value the Australian way at Coles. Offer ends Tuesday.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
A double fatality has seen the state's road toll hit 26 only 8 weeks into 2023. A man and woman were killed yesterday in a head-on collision at Lincoln Gap on the Eyre Peninsula. This time last year, the road toll was 12. Acting Superintendent Damien Eichner has this advice for drivers.
Please plan your trips, particularly in the country, and allow adequate rest breaks for each leg of your trip. Stick to the speed limit. Don't be distracted whilst you're driving by the use of your phone or other things that are occurring in the vehicle or in your immediate vicinity.
The Greek Prime Minister has declared 3 days of mourning after dozens of people were killed in a train crash. 2 trains travelling at speed collided head-on the same track. At least 36 people have died. The Transport Minister's resigned and the station master has been arrested. 2 others have been detained for questioning. The man suspected of killing Toyah Cordingley is set to be extradited to Queensland today and formally charged. Christina Hearn reports.
After arriving in Melbourne from Delhi yesterday, Rajvinder Singh was driven to the Melbourne Magistrates Court for a brief appearance. The court heard detectives linked Singh to the murder of Toyah Cordingley in 2018, allegedly through DNA and his mobile phone hitting the same tower as hers. He was arrested in India last November after police offered a $1 million reward for information. The 38-year-old spent the night at the Melbourne Assessment Prison. The next step is flying him to Cairns, most likely in a private jet, where he's expected to be formally charged.
The cost of postage stamps could go up and letters could be delivered less frequently under proposed reforms to Australia Post. The government-owned company is undergoing its biggest overhaul in more than 200 years. It's reported its first 4-year loss since 2015 after letters lost reached nearly $190 million. Prince Harry and Meghan have reportedly been evicted from the royal cottage at Windsor Castle. More from US correspondent Jonathan Kersley.
Harry and Meghan haven't lived at Frogmore Cottage for almost 3 years, instead opting for life at a multi-million-dollar home at Montecito in California. The UK Sun newspaper originally reported King Charles started an eviction process in January, just a day after Prince Harry's book Spare hit the shelves. It's claimed the King's brother, Prince Andrew, has been asked to move into Frogmore Cottage, which is significantly smaller than his existing home at Royal Lodge. As for Harry and Meghan, well, they were spotted smiling, entering a popular Hollywood eatery last night.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Aussie spinner Matt Kuhnemann has had a day to remember, securing his first 5-wicket haul as the tourist took control after day 1 of the 3rd test against India in Indore. The left-arm spinner took 5 for 16 from his 9 overs as the Aussies dismissed the home side for only 109, Nathan Lyon also chipping in with 3 wickets. Kuhnemann says it was great to perform so well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really special to take wickets out there with the team. I think it's a really good day for our team in general, with the bowlers going real well and the batters sort of stepping up as well and doing a good job for us.
The Aussies reaching 4 for 156 in reply, giving them an overall lead of 47 runs. Usman Khawaja top scoring with 60, while Pete Hanscom and Cameron Green are the not-out batsmen. Still on cricket, and South Australia will meet Queensland today in a Sheffield Shield clash at the Gabba. To football, and Port Adelaide will play its final pre-season practice match tonight when it meets Fremantle in WA. The Power looking for a win after going down to West Coast last week. The Crows will train today and take on the Eagles tomorrow night. And a couple of games in the English Premier League this morning with Arsenal hosting Everton. It's currently 0-0 about 15 minutes into that one, while it's also 0-0 in the match between Liverpool and Wolverhampton, which has just kicked off. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Scintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy and heading for 24 today. Sunny tomorrow, 27, 28 on Saturday and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. Right now, 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
25 minutes to 7, police and weather coming up. We'll cross to Sam Daddo is out in the street this morning. I think he's knocking around Festival Plaza if you want to have a chat with him. A few texts first, though, on the Duttons text line.
There's a good one here from Mark in Largs Bay. I admire your cynicism, Mark, and I share it. I like the way this is worded. To simplify the Jim Chalmers issue, the Labor Party is doing everything it can right now to be a one-term government, regardless of the popularity of the Liberals' answer to Dr. Evil running the show. That's pretty much it in a nutshell, I reckon.
That's Australian politics.
Trying to give the electorate a, quote, tax them any way possible approach is only going to risk putting them offside with everybody. Thank you for that, Mark. Fred here says, we are getting updates on how good the Live Golf and the Gather Round are doing and the money coming in for the state. How much are Sam Smith and the influencers bringing to Adelaide? I was talking to someone about that yesterday, Fred, from the SATC, and as much as it jars with the world we inhabit, because my idea of hell is being told that I have to arrive at the Cube at a certain time in my latest trendy gear to hang around with people who are pouting like European carp and taking selfies of themselves to put on Instagram saying, I'm here at hashtag Sam Smith, hashtag McLaren Vale, hashtag Adelaide Alive, hashtag look at me, look at me. Well, I just think the whole thing is a world that I don't understand and live in fear of ever having to enter. But the reality is that the effect of doing a Sam Smith promo with some of those people who've got thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram, it's not really any different from, in a commercial sense, from the V8s paying FIVEAA for Will and I to do a live read about how good the return of the supercars is, because they know that we're a station that was upset on behalf of our listeners that the V8s were put to the sword, even though so many people still love them. So there's a niche advertising market on FIVEAA for the Revhead crowd, and we're happy to be massive boosters of that event. So the SATC, it's no secret. I mean, we're reading the ads out. We weren't doing it for nothing. They paid us, not us personally, but they paid the Nova Entertainment Group in a commercial arrangement for those ads. So it's weird because I share your cynicism, Fred, but I reckon they could actually quantify this was all of the references that were made via these Instagram posts to how cool SA, McLaren Vale, the Cube, everything about Adelaide is. So
I'm not sure the protest that people had was necessarily entirely about the idea that you'd buy advertising on social media. I think the optics of the exclusive concert that accompanied it rubbed people the wrong way.
They should have made it a general type concert where at least some, because Sam Smith's fans were the ones who were the most annoyed because they're like, oh, hang on, why can't we go to this? So if they had their time over, they might have at least let a few hundred average punters attend as opposed to the Adelaide A-list, which we're certainly not part of.
Sam Daddo is out in the street this morning. Sam, good morning.
Morning, guys. A couple of weeks ago, I was down at Gluttony previewing the Fringe, so I thought I'd do the same thing for the Adelaide Festival. And if you jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, you'll see where I am right now, overlooking the River Torrens, Adelaide Oval in the background. It's just magnificent at this time of the morning, sun about to come up. But jumping into the Adelaide Festival, it kicks off tomorrow, the 3rd of March, and it runs until the 19th. The first Adelaide Festival of Arts was held in March 1960, created by newspaper executive Sir Lloyd Dumas and the University of Adelaide's music professor John Bishop. They were inspired by Scotland's Edinburgh Festival and so formulated a plan and a budget to stage a similar event here in Adelaide. The current Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Sir Charles John Glover, supported the idea and helped generate funding for it. There was a resounding success for the inaugural event. The Adelaide Festival of Arts was staged again in 1962 and then became a regular biannual event. The festival also became host to Adelaide Writers' Week, which we have promoted quite thoroughly on 5AA Breakfast.
Promoted.
Since 1960. Yeah, we'll go with that. And WOMAD Festival in 1992. WOMAD later became an independent event. The Adelaide Festival was a biennial event until 2012, when it became annual based on an election promised by Labor Premier Mike Rann. And I've come down, as I said, to Festival Plaza, which has been undergoing major rework. So the Festival Plaza, a bit of backstory on that. It's a space outside the Festival Centre on King William Street. The biggest stage of the revitalised public space was completed back in 2022 in March. The expansive new public space features 6 arbours with trees that will form a shady canopy, a 20-metre long water feature establishing trees and lawns, and refurbished artworks from the original Hijack Plaza. Now, jumping back to the Adelaide Festival, it goes over many establishments. You've got the Her Majesty's Theatre, Hindley Street Music Hall, Adelaide Entertainment Centre Theatre, Adelaide Town Hall, Queen's Theatre. So it's a big event we hold here in Adelaide. But amazingly enough, on my travels this morning, trying to get anyone to talk about it or even know what it is was amazing. And I got to admit, yesterday, talking to Will and the boss, I wasn't too sure what the difference between the festival and the Fringe was. But I was able to chat to a couple of guys this morning. So I'm here with Tyler, mate. Have you ever been to the Adelaide Festival?
No, I have not.
Mark, Adelaide Festival, are you one to go along?
Yeah, I go along quite regular.
Do you know when it starts?
I think it's around about the end of February and towards the end of March.
Adelaide Festival versus the Fringe, which would you head along to more?
Probably the festival.
Couple of festival enthusiasts down there?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a resounding success for the Adelaide Festival's promotions department.
I think, Sam, in your defence, the Culture Vulture crowd, they're probably not early morning people. They've probably been out watching an 8-hour production of the Mahabharata until 3 a.m. or something like that. And in your defence too, you're more a we were talking about the V8s just now before you came on the line. You're more of a Bathurst guy than a going to see the Kronos Quartet type guy. So it's not your fault.
Yeah, I wouldn't need a script for a Bathurst stats, I can tell you that.
Good on you, Sam. Sam's out on the road for us. I tell you what, if you're watching on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, Sam put up some images of just the Riverbank precinct, and because it's dark, it's all lit up like it is at night time. It is just spectacular these days.
Beautiful.
The sum of the development that's happened down there, bit by bit, be it the Festival Plaza being the most recent part, but the Adelaide Oval redevelopment, and then the integration of the casino and that whole Riverbank area now. I'm presume, because there always is in this town, there would have been a host of people that protested probably every step of that development. It is just magnificent. It is beautiful to look at. It's
just, if you're down where Sam was, just watch out for falling balsa wood. That's the only issue down there at the moment.
Is he? Yeah, it's on that side because it's affecting Parliament House traffic, isn't it? Yeah. Well, look, you can't have everything. It's 17 minutes to 7. We're going to check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. Roads are looking pretty good today. No great hassles if you're about to jump in the car. Got a few works you might want to keep in mind. You'll find them at Hindmarsh today, Manton Street near Milner Street. Got a lane out of action at Port Adelaide, Commercial Road near Cleve Street, and they've been working all night at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway. So she's pretty slow this morning. 2 lanes closed as you're heading into the city. Cameras May Terrace, Lockleys and Wommer Road at Penfield. Hungry? Head to Oporto for the Bondi Burger Box. Double Bondi Burger, 2 crispy chicken strips. Snack chips, drink and dipping sauce, just $16.95 at Oporto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The Southgate GWM and Havel 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Be quick, don't miss the 22 plate clearance. Only at Southgate GWM, Main South Road, Brunella.
LVD 152780.
It's Shingles Awareness Week. Do you know your risk? About 1 in 3 people will develop shingles in their lifetime. If you're aged 50 and over, talk to a healthcare professional and visit knowshingles.com.au to learn more. Sponsored by GSK Melbourne.
Specsavers believe everyone deserves the latest high-tech hearing aids at everyday low prices. Now more than ever, no one needs to pay more than they should for hearing aids.
You'll find qualified and accredited audiology professionals in almost 300 stores across the country.
Start your hearing journey with Specsavers and know what the costs are with their upfront prices. You won't be charged extra for your preferred fitting, style or colour.
Specsavers' mission is to provide hearing care that's fair for all, and that's why this Hearing Awareness Week they're making some noise.
That's right, because everyday low prices on latest high-tech hearing aids doesn't mean you compromise on quality or expert care.
To book a hearing appointment or find out more, visit specsavers.com.au/hearing. T's and C's apply.
Indulge your senses and rejuvenate with Phil Hoffman Travel and Tasmanian Vacations. Experience Tasmania on a self-drive 7-night gourmet food tour from $1,795 per person twin share, including a National Parks Pass and a free tour of the Old Kempton Distillery. First-class gourmet tours, wine experiences, premium hotel accommodation and car hire. This is the perfect package to leave you feeling fully satisfied. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel or visit pht.com.au. aldi.com.au.
Fresh marinated chicken roasting pieces are now just $5.49 per kilo. And so easy, you could totally cook them with your eyes closed. Aldi, good, different.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
15 minutes to 7. Fairly mild start to the day here in Adelaide. Jenny Horvat, Senior Forecaster at the Bureau, has all the details. Morning to you, Jenny.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Will.
Sort of feels like the last day of this little lull for at least a couple of days.
Look, we've got a little bit of warmth coming in on the weekend with a change coming through on the Sunday. So things are pretty stable for the remainder of the week. And as you mentioned, it's a little bit mild out there this morning. Currently 16.3 at our West Terrace Night Apira observation site. Minimum temperature of 15.7 actually occurred about 10:30 last night. We are aiming for around 24 degrees in the city and Elizabeth, 23 along the coast and 21 for Mount Barker. A little bit of cloud hanging around out there. Couldn't rule out the odd light spot, but we're really not expecting anything and probably less likely than what we saw yesterday morning. Currently got our high-pressure system south of WA. That's keeping us in this sort of milder southerly airstream, but that will slowly start to drift off and be in the Tasman Sea by Saturday. And as it starts to move, we'll start to see those temperatures rising ever so slightly. So for Friday, we are looking for a sunny day with a maximum around 26 or 27 degrees after a minimum of 13. Sunny conditions continuing for Saturday, temperature of around 28 degrees. We've got our change moving through on Sunday. A little bit of uncertainty with that timing, whether it comes through in the afternoon or evening, but nevertheless starting off a sunny morning, aiming for a top temperature of around 28 or 29, and then we could see some showers developing when that change moves through. On Monday there, following that change, we're going to stay in a bit of a mild, cooler westerly airstream through there. Still the chance to see a shower or two around on Monday, temperature back down to around 22 degrees. For Tuesday, we're looking at temperatures of around 20, 21 degrees. Couldn't rule out the chance of a shower on the Tuesday as well, but starting to dry up maybe on Wednesday, and maybe just a slight chance of a light shower through there, temperature of around 21 or 22 degrees there, guys.
Great stuff, Jenny. Thanks for that.
The sunrise this morning will take place at 7:04 a.m. They are all after 7 o'clock now. Senior Constable Peter Williams from Sapole is on the line. Peter, good morning to you. Some kids have been caught breaking into a house at Campbelltown.
Yeah, good morning, guys. They weren't breaking into a house last night, but they had property on them from a house break a week ago when they were found. So just before 1 a.m. this morning, police received reports of two males trying door handles of cars on Victor Road. Patrols quickly arrived and set up cordons, and residents assisted police with providing some CCTV images of the two males involved. At the same time that was happening, another call came in from residents on Montacute Road reporting seeing two males trying door handles to cars there. With the assistance of PD Rusty, police located two males matching the description earlier seen on Montacute and Victor Road. The males were searched and found to be in possession of a set of car keys which were being stolen during a break-in at a premise on Montacute Road back on the 26th of February. One of the males, a 16-year-old boy from Blair Athol, was arrested and charged with illegal interference, unlawful on premises, possessing an article to commit an offence, and unlawful possession. He's been refused bail and will appear in the youth court later today. The other male, a 16-year-old boy from Fringe, was charged with the same offences, and he's been bailed with strict conditions to appear in youth court in April.
Peter, also a bloke's been arrested after a small pursuit in Tanunda.
Small pursuit that started in Salisbury South. So just before 2 a.m, police spotted a black Holden Calais travelling on Main North Road, and checks revealed that the driver or registered owner of that vehicle would have been driving disqualified. Patrols activated their lights and sirens indicating for the driver to pull over, but they refused and sped off along Main North Road. And the vehicle was last seen heading towards Gawler and then out the other side of Gawler up the Sturt Highway. Just before 3 a.m, Newry patrols reported sighting the same vehicle at a petrol station in Murray Street in Tanunda. Patrols quickly moved in and arrested the driver of that vehicle, a 20-year-old man from Angaston. He was charged with driving disqualified, driving dangerously to escape police, and he's been bailed to appear in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court in April, and he's also had his vehicle taken off him for 28 days.
And Peter, before we let you go, yet another fatal yesterday, over the course of the year, this one yesterday in Lincoln Gap.
That's right. A man and woman, unfortunately, have died following a fatal crash in Lincoln Gap yesterday. The road was closed for most of the day, but reopened later last night. At about 7:30 a.m. yesterday, police and emergency services were called to the Lincoln Highway after reports of a two-car crash near the Air Highway intersection. The driver of a Toyota RAV4, a 37-year-old woman from Whyalla, and the driver of a Toyota Hilux, a 35-year-old man from Whyalla Stewart, both died at the scene. A passenger of the Hilux was also taken to Whyalla Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Major crash officers are investigating the circumstances of the crash, but sadly these two deaths take it to 25 and 26 lives lost on SA roads compared to 12 at the same time last year. So those of you out there travelling around, the country roads seems to be the place these are happening a fair bit statistically at the moment. We ask everyone to take caution, take their time, plan their trips and make sure that they drive responsibly.
Yeah, well said, Peter. It's been a pretty grim procession statistically this year, and obviously behind every one of those statistics is a living, breathing human and a loving family that's going to be devastated for years by this. Thanks for that, mate.
9 minutes to 7, time to head to the US. David Woyward for 7 News joins us. If you look at any major US news site at the moment, they seem to be dominated by headlines regarding TikTok, the social media site preferred by especially young people, it would seem.
Totally.
Under the age of 25, it seems to be the
kids are crazy for it.
The most popular one. David, good morning to you. What's the latest?
Well, boys, the good news is it's not going to impact on your TikTok dancing here. But yes, for users under 18, the social media sensation will be imposing a 60-minute time limit on the app. So that means that after 60 minutes, an hour of scrolling on the app, that users will have to enter a passcode. But look, after they have entered that passcode, they can just continue using the app. For those users under 13 years of age, they will need a parent or a guardian to enter that code. So look, it is a good move in the right direction. It has been hailed as such, but it isn't binding as such. And look, if they are still on the app after 100 minutes, they will be prompted to then set a daily screen limit. So some moves there to try and limit how much time we are spending on our phones, especially for young people.
David, is it this is entirely sort of a benevolent gesture, or is this TikTok trying to look like a good corporate citizen against the backdrop of mooted bans in the United States and other countries?
Well, exactly right. So it could be just a bit of PR work to try and address those headlines. There have been a lot of them. Of course, we've had that congressional hearing last night in the US where both Republicans and Democrats really stuck the boot into the Chinese-operated app, saying that within 30 days, well, this is the hope that they will be pushing to have that app removed from all government devices. There is that concern that because it is so close to the Chinese government that perhaps it is being used for information and surveillance collecting and other things like that. So whether or not this is just an altruistic move to say that they are trying to do the right thing, they have been under fairly intense criticism because of the mental health issues that the app has been causing. That is according to a lot of childhood experts and such. But whether or not that is part of it, certainly it is making plenty of headlines here in the United States.
There's so many stories at the moment, David, where it feels like all roads lead to China. I was listening overnight to the some of the international coverage of the FBI's statement, where they are now saying publicly that they strongly believe that the coronavirus was the result of a lab leak out of Wuhan. China's come out and said, no, there's no evidence for that. Let's leave this to the scientists. And then in the same breath, when China said don't politicise this, they're saying that they think that it might have actually originated from the United States.
Exactly right. You've got the FBI director saying that over the last few days. Well, then, of course, we had the surveillance balloon that was shot down as well. So there appears to be a real move on at the moment to sort of crack down on China and its influence within the United States.
Good on you, David. Thank you. David Woyward for 7 News in the US. Whatever their motivation for the TikTok measure is, I suspect we'll see more of this. I heard someone just recently make an interesting analogy and parallel between social media. And I've always talked about it on air as that this current era of the internet, I reckon one day is going to be regarded as a bit like the Wild West, this lawless land where anything sort of went, and there's going to be more sophisticated societies in the future that look back and go, how did people possibly live like that? Part of it will be things like limits on usage, like this 60-minute one for the ostensibly for the health and well-being of young people. And the parallel was made between alcohol and social media, or the internet broadly. We've had thousands of years as human beings dealing with alcohol, the consequences of it. Now we've got the pretty robust rules around it and just some good rule of thumb thoughts. So everything from bans for people under the age of of 18 or whatever it might be in different countries to things like, you know, have a water between every drink or don't mix drinks or have a meal. Like, this is a sort of a robust...
Eating is cheating.
There's a robust sort of language that goes with something that we've, for thousands of years, learnt to live with.
Whereas social media is such frontier stuff.
It's 20 years, and right now there are no rules. Oh, you're going to be 5 years old and go on TikTok? Good luck to you.
Oh, don't laugh. 5 years old is the age at which kids start getting interested in it.
Well, this is just the thing.
Our youngest kids have made TikToks on our teenage kids' phones, and they only circulate it, you know, between the family. But it's just this sort of, you know, it's so utterly addictive. Kids just get drawn into it and stay there. Like, it's just, if you let them do it, they would spend the entire day, seriously, the entire day on their devices, and it's the hardest thing in the world as a parent to control. Seriously, it's really, you wait, mate. You wait. You've got all this ahead of you.
Oh, I've no doubt.
The thing, though, to be honest, as parents, is that I think we contribute to the problem because when you're busy, and I admit, like, there'll be times where, like last night, Kate was in a meeting, so I wrote a feature for Saturday, I did school pickup, I made a quiche Lorraine for tonight's dinner, I grilled some cevapcicis that were from Corinthian Meats. They're doing meat tray tomorrow. Absolutely crackerjack cevapcicis. And all of this was going on. I had to make the boys' dinner. I had to do I was texting you guys about what was on the show, texting Luce, texted a couple of state ministers about different things. And without even thinking about it as a parent, you know, the first thing I did, I made sure their iPads were charged. So you sort of create the problem or reinforce the problem too, I think. A lot of parents, you know, there's probably people going, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, sorry, guilty is charged because we all sort of inhabit the same space. So you can't solely put it on the kids. I reckon
absolutely not.
Parents back me up here. I reckon that every parent listening, if they're honest, would say, yeah, I do a bit of that too. Because it's a form of babysitting. And you can buy yourself...
Well, it's what the TV was.
Well, that's right. It is
ago.
exactly what the TV was. Because, in fact, if I said to the kids, sit down and watch TV for half an hour, they're going, we're not doing that, it's boring. Unless, of course, you're on it, Will.
I suppose at least an iPad you interact with on some level. But anyway, that's getting in the weeds. It's coming up to 2 minutes to 7. 8223 is our number. You can text us on the Dutton's text line or jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. We want to do a couple of Dutton's texts before we go to the break?
Yes, I liked this one here. Being from Edinburgh, I came to Adelaide to get away from the Fringe. Alas, nothing wrong with the Fringe or indeed the festival.
Are we bigger than Edinburgh Fringe now, or are we still second?
We're second. We're the biggest Fringe in the Southern Hemisphere. Few people defending the Crows' bold prediction of a flag within 5 years. Bill from Bradbury says, come on, boys, this is just plain and simple goal setting. We use this in schools all the time. Well, I hope we go better than the NatLand results down at West Lakes then, Bill. And someone here, this might be something we tease out with John Olson wearing his ex-politician's cap. On the Dutton's text line, one listener says, did they say we will win or aim to win?
No, they said we will win.
Yeah.
Aim to win is a bit like the kind of sort of feathery language that Jim Chalmers might say with regard to, I'm not aiming to put in a tax on the family home. A bit more bold than that, can't we? Minute to 7.
Chris from North Adelaide too. This is an idea. Maybe we'll have to wait till we do all the films first. He says, guys, I just wanted to say how much I really like Lucy's critique of classic films. Have you considered doing the same with 60s and 70s albums?
That's David's job.
Maybe kicking off with my all-time fave, the Beatles' White Album. Well, Chris, we'll deal with cinema first, but we'll keep that one on the back burner for later on.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
You can't go past the IGA Big Deal Sale for great specials right across the store, like Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta or Mount Franklin Lutley Sparkling Water, 1.25 litre selected varieties, $1.77 each. Now at your local IGA. Offer ends March 7. Participating stores only. Excludes Foodland.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
At least 43 people have been confirmed dead after a passenger and freight train collided in Greece. More from Jessica Millwood.
The Greek Prime Minister has said human error is to blame for the train disaster and during a visit to the scene has vowed to get to the bottom of what caused it. Among many of the dead, young people returning to university from Athens. Sadly, the death toll is expected to rise, with more than 20 people still missing in the wreckage. The Transport Minister has resigned and the local station master has been arrested and charged with manslaughter. Greece will observe 3 days of national mourning.
South Australia's road toll has continued to grow. A horror head-on smash at Lincoln Gap yesterday claiming the lives of 2 people and pushing the total for the year to 26. That's more than double what it was at this time last year, with 70% of the fatalities in regional areas. 2 teenage boys have been caught breaking into cars at Campbelltown overnight. Police were called to Victor Road just before 1 a.m. and set up cordons. Senior Constable Peter Williams says the 2 boys were found nearby.
The males were searched and found to be in possession of a set of car keys which were being stolen during a break-in at a premise on Montacute Road back on the 26th of February. One of the males, a 16-year-old boy from Blair Athol, was arrested and charged with illegal interference, unlawful on premises, possessing an article to commit an offence and unlawful possession. The other male, a 16-year-old boy from Fringe, was charged with the same offences.
Australia Post letter delivery service could be scaled back as part of a move to future-proof the company. More from Ella Smith.
The government-owned entity is facing its biggest overhaul in its 214-year history as it reports its first full-year loss since 2015. Losses in the letters division ballooned to nearly $190 million in December. The federal government will seek input from small businesses and regional communities in a consultation process which opens today. Posties might not be obliged to deliver letters to homes daily in a bid to cut costs. Increasing the price of stamps and slowing down priority letter services are also on the table.
The Foreign Minister has touched down in India ahead of the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. Penny Wong will spend 2 days in back-to-back meetings with her counterparts discussing stability in the Indo-Pacific region and other issues. Russia's Foreign Minister is also attending. Top doctors and executives of Australia's sporting codes have faced a parliamentary inquiry examining the impacts of head injury. More from Zach De Silva.
Representatives of rugby league, rugby, soccer and boxing agree there's not enough research into how severe concussions can be prevented. Dr Sharon Flahive from the NRL says they're looking at sensor-equipped mouthguards to better understand the toll on players.
Once we get that data, we can look at what parts of the game perhaps need to change.
While Boxing Australia Chief Executive Diana Glyakidis says they need more funding to support research in the area.
We just don't have that resource available.
The committee will hand its report to the government in June.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Criticism is coming thick and fast for the conditions being served up in India for the 3rd test in Indore. The Aussie spinners combined for 9 of the 10 Indian wickets, with the other being a run-out, while India's spinners have bowled 49 of the 54 overs so far in the Aussie innings. Former Test opener Matt Hayden is in India calling for Fox Sports and says it's a ridiculous situation.
And this is why I've got a problem with these conditions, because there's no way in the world that a spin bowler should come on in the 6 over. No way. 4.8 degrees. That's massive turn. That's the sort of turn you'd expect day 3. I mean, you've got to give the batters a chance, Ravi.
Australia is well on top, though, after dismissing the home side in indoor for only 109 before reaching 4 for 156 in reply at stumps. To football, and Port Adelaide will welcome back Zach Butters, Charlie Dixon and Darcy Byrne-Jones for tonight's practice match against Fremantle in WA, but they'll be without former skipper Travis Boak as well as Junior Rioli. Meantime, Crows Premiership forward Ash Woodland has defected from the club to join the Power. Well, the Socceroos are in for their first home game since the World Cup. They'll face Ecuador on Friday the 24th of March at Western Sydney Stadium. Meantime, in the English Premier League, Arsenal's gone 1-0 up against Everton.
Zinchenko, Bukayo Saka twisting, firing forcibly into the roof.
Audio thanks to Optus, and they've just scored again literally that minute to go 2-0 up right on half-time, while Liverpool and Wolverhampton are locked at 0-0. And the 5th round of the FA Cup is on again this morning. No goals in the match so far between Manchester United and West Ham, while it's also goalless between Sheffield United and Tottenham. The NRL season kicks off tonight with Parramatta hosting the Melbourne Storm, and both the Hockeyroos and Kookaburras have suffered defeats at the Pro League in Hobart. The Hockeyroos going down to the US 3-1 in a shootout, while the Kookaburras lost to Spain 4-2. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Bathroom Works quick and affordable bathroom makeovers. Get a quote at bathroomwerx.com.
Good morning. No great hassles on the way to work today, which is excellent. Got a few roadworks you might want to keep in mind. You'll find them at Queenstown today. Got a lane closed there, Port Road near Westport Avenue. And we've got those works continuing at Bedford Park on the drive-in. That's on the Southern Expressway there. 2 lanes out of action. That does get pretty slow throughout the morning. Cameras today, Horsey Road, Elizabeth East and Maxwell Terrace at Glenelg East. Harris Scarf's Red Hot 4-day sale ends tomorrow with up to 60% off selected Manchester, 40% off air fryers, 40% off bras, underwear and more. Great brands, great prices. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Tintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy and 24 today, sunny tomorrow 27, sunny and 28 on Saturday and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. At the moment 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 7. Good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday if you're joining us for the first time. It feels autumnal out there. I mean, I'm a critic of the whole calendar season thing, but it's hard to argue on a morning like this because it's dark. The official sunrise it's just happened in the last 3 minutes, but it does feel like we're about a month further along than we otherwise would be.
Still another month to go, roughly, until the end of daylight saving, when we'll all put our clocks back. But yeah, at this time of year, the sunrise does get later and later. So for people who are up and about early, us early birds, it's going to be dark till about probably 7:15 by the end of March. You said Thursday. The first thing I said this morning when I came in and saw Will and Sam and Luce was TGIF, because it's my Friday today.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't swap with you.
No,
because you're getting your eyeball cut open.
I did say to Will, I love my job, and it certainly hasn't got to the point where I'd rather have optical surgery than come into work on a Friday. But I won't be here tomorrow. Luce is champing at the bit. The moment either of us doesn't come in, Luce's eyes light up. So, just be careful, Will. Don't take extended leave, is all I'll say.
9 after 7, let's get into the stories of the morning. And I think it was the story of the nation at the moment, the biggest story in the country, started probably around this time yesterday when the Treasurer appeared on Sunrise and spoke with David Koch.
So just say, yes, that you absolutely guarantee no change ever to the capital gains tax exemption on our family home.
Well, I can say to your viewers that we haven't been focused on it. We haven't been working on it.
Haven't been focused on it. Wasn't particularly strong on what's...
Well, he wasn't focused on going after people's super. prior to the election, and that's exactly what he's doing
His
now.
focus can shift.
Only
That's
very,
what we've learnt
and
about
only
the
very
Federal
rich
Treasurer.
people. Just to be clear, for the sake of all the real Labor tragics who keep getting upset about the way this story's being covered, and Koshy said this himself yesterday, that as a policy, the policy in isolation, people with $3 million...
Well, the Libs promoted something similar previously.
They did. So, you know, we're not getting the violins out for these people, some of whom don't know where their next cognac is coming from. Like, it's not
It's
like...
about credibility in politics. It's about having a mandate.
Well, first, it's a lie, because they explicitly said they weren't going to do it prior to the election, and now they're doing exactly what they said they wouldn't do. But it does invite speculation along the lines of what David Kosh's questions were yesterday.
And he didn't help himself, the Federal Treasurer, the Icarian kid of Australian politics, when he said...
Icarian?
Yeah, like Icarus.
Flew too close to the sun.
He's flown too close to the sun. The Prime Minister, though, was much more definitive in the language he used when I think he just rang up every media in the country to try and get on immediately after Jim Chalmers been on Sunrise to shut this capital gains tax situation down. Here is the PM.
Yes, we are not going to impact the family home.
Why not?
Full stop, exclamation mark. Because we're not going to.
But why not? What's the policy?
Because it's a bad idea.
Why not? You know what? I'm guessing that was on the ABC. The federal opposition leader, it was.
Some of these people have got houses that are worth $2 million.
Actually, Lucy's nodding ahead. You could just tell from the tone.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? You have a different perspective on life if you live with 7 friends in a share house in Glebe.
The federal opposition leader, Peter Dutton, well, this is manna from heaven for him.
How on earth could you believe them? How could you believe anything the Prime Minister says? How could you believe anything the Treasurer says? We're absolutely dead against it, and we will repeal it.
And the circus was routed out yesterday with the Treasurer walking back the entire thing.
Ruled out. Here's your opportunity to do the same.
Yeah, I do that. And I should have done that this morning too.
Should have done it. Should have ruled out the
Too busy writing essays about how he's going to solve the moral crisis that's gripping capitalism.
Hey, he's got a budget coming up. They can't exactly shelve him for a while, but I reckon under any other circumstances, it'd be just Albo would take control of all the Treasury messaging for a little while.
I'd find the whole thing completely staggering. And
it's a self-made.
Albanese, I know people think he's a bit of a knockabout and he was a bit loose on some of the figures during the election campaign, but the wisdom he showed there in hitting the airwaves straight away to mop up the mess that his Treasurer had created, that comes with 30 years in politics, where you know that bad stuff gets real bad real fast. Chalmers is a neophyte. He's only been in for, a term or two, but he's never actually done anything until now. And this is where, the sort of... He needs someone in his office to quote that great line from The Castle, "Get your hand off it, Darryl." If someone had... There's no one in his office who, when he said, I've been approached by the Monthly, they want me to write a bit of an 80,000-word think piece about the future of... It's like, mate, you do that at the end of your career, not at the start. You're at the start of your career. And as far as starts go, I've seen better ones.
You focus as Treasurer at a time when there's, I reckon, every single week on every news service around the country, there's now a story about budget savers. How to cut back at the shopping centre, where the bargains are because of the cost of living crisis.
Do they listen to shows like ours, though?
No.
No. Most people in South Australia listen to radio shows in the breakfast time slot, listen to this one, and the number one thing people have been talking about, it's snow peas, it's schnitzels, it's
not a time
the lamb chops I bought the other day.
It's not a time to reimagine capitalism.
No, exactly. And the fact that he's gone down this path of coming up with some sort of ethereal wank about, I'm going to reinvent the way the market and government interact is hubris writ large. Just stick to your day job because you just started doing it.
The saddest story in the world today is the train crash in Greece. A passenger train carrying more than 350 people collided with a freight train just before midnight local time near the city of Larissa. It's about 4 hours north of Athens. At least 36 people were killed in the crash. There are many more injured. Rescue efforts are still ongoing. It was a head-on collision between the two trains that the Greek Prime Minister has now declared a case of tragic human error. And Validating that claim is the situation whereby Greek authorities have arrested the station manager of a train station in the city of Larissa in connection with that collision. Here are some people who were on board the train and bore witness to what took place.
All I remember is feeling a sharp braking suddenly, seeing sparks and flames on the sides of the windows, and then a sudden stop. At the sudden stop, we all panicked, went outside, broke the glass, and then we were faced with chaos. Chaos.
The train just started to jerk more and more until we ended up at a 45-degree angle. So all the way to the front of the train I went, and saw to the front the worst part of the collision right in front of me. The whole train had bent 90 degrees, had fallen over the cliff, and half was hanging in the air. The whole thing was on fire.
I jumped on him, then we fell down. A woman with her child was with us. Then we sat down. It had caught fire next to us, and the guy found a hole. So we all managed to get out of where we were. We were in a cabin. We don't know what happened in the front cabins, but the people behind us were okay.
Audio courtesy of Sky News.
Just shocking, that story. Apparently the trains were on the same track. Like, it sounds like
it's hard to imagine.
Shunting cock-up. The Transport Minister's resigned as well out of respect for those who died. Just an appalling story.
Text on the Duttons text line about Australia Post from Nathan in Eden Hills saying, amazing how not that long ago after Christine Holgate was thrown under the bus, Australia Post has, as an organisation now, appears to be struggling. I can't even recall now what the apparent political gain was for hanging her out to dry. Of course, she's the former CEO that bought everyone watches as a result of the good performance.
And ScoMo had a massive crack at her in question time. I think the view was that they could make a bit of political capital out of going after what looked like corporate largesse.
But in reality, the watches are a byproduct of the thing being run kind of well, it looks like, on reflection.
People meeting and exceeding their targets.
Maybe
they should get it back.
The situation today is that the cost of stamps could rise. The letter delivery system is likely to be overhauled to future-proof Australia Post. It's undergoing its biggest overhaul in 214 years. Post office licensees and agents have 8 weeks to lodge submissions on how they think the government should modernise the service. There'll be a host of key stakeholders involved in the consultation process. Communication Minister Michelle Rowland says we need to keep up with the rest of the world.
We know that Post faces many challenges from overseas competitors in that competitive parcels market, but we want to make sure that Australia Post is doing everything it can, including with the use of technology, to service Australians better.
The conversation we had in the lead up to 7 o'clock about parents using iPads as a form of child minding, not all day, but for those times when you're frazzled and you've got to juggle everything. Nice one here from Andrew in Mount Barker. He says, Dave and Will, I can empathise with the device use with young kids after school and when they're tired or to stop arguments. Our girls will use the Samsung tablet and one of our phones to watch YouTube Kids, which is a great app as it's parent controlled. This stops a lot of arguments between the kids while me and my wife will get dinner ready, as otherwise they'll be fighting or doing something destructive. I think a lot of parents can relate to that. And one here, iPad or not, I tip my hat to you, Dave, for trying to write anything and cook while looking after the kids. It's a struggle, I know well. My advice too is use salt instead, because cooking with kids is looked down upon.
18 after 7, let's check traffic. We'll come back with more in just a moment.
Looking pretty good for the drive-in today. Getting busy South Road at Mile End at the moment. Also got a few works slowing things up at Karata Park. That's Anzac Highway near Selby Street. We are slow going for those works on the Southern Expressway at Bedford Park. We're working all night there. 2 lanes out of action and speeds reduced. With cameras this morning, Jenkins Street, Cowandilla and Maxwell Terrace, Ackland East. Did you know it took 21 attempts to create Guzmani Gomez perfectly crunchy corn chips, which are made fresh in store every day? Look up #GYG Did You Know for more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
The mobile phone ban campaign. Blair Boy, the Education Minister, announcing this, but the campaign's going to cost $900,000. $900,000 to tell us that mobile phones are banned in schools.
Weekday mornings from 9.
That to me seems a tad over the top, to say the least. Almost $1 million. Really? We don't have other things we need to spend money on?
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Right now, we need a saviour, a mortgage saviour.
Last week, one 5AA listener rang Vince at Mortgage Saviour. They reworked their mortgage payments and saved $9,000 just in the first year. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. With more interest rate hikes on the horizon, it's important to talk to Vince at Mortgage Saviour on 1300 99 886. Find out what a Mortgage Saviour can do for you. Go to mortgagesaviour.com.au. T's and C's apply.
When it comes to wiping out flies and mozzies, we're prepared to go nuclear. But what about the fallout on your family? Ecomist is a natural insect killer. It uses natural pyrethrins to be an effective and ecological insect control product. Ecomist dispensers can be programmed to your needs with 24-hour protection for your home, your cafe or your office. Wipe out flies and mozzies and stay safe around your family. Order yours today at ecomist.com.au.
Ranella Mazda 2022 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the entire range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 2022 plate clearance. Only at Ranella Mazda.
LVD 322736.
Every day, 6 white t-shirts are ruined by deliciously messy fresh pork ribs from Aldi. Your shirt could be next. Aussie pork ribs now only $16.99 a kilo. Aldi. Good. Different.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes after 7. Matt Abraham coming up after 7:30. We'll talk more on politics then. But first, what's called cuttlefish? It's a magnificent thing that happens between May and August every year. A giant Australian cuttlefish gather along this area of shallow rocky reef. It's about 4 kilometres long, and it's within an area that's designated the Cuttlefish Coast Sanctuary Zone. Well, the Sanctuary Zone near Whyalla, it's just south of Port Augusta and at 15 k's northeast of Whyalla. It has become the 120th Australian place to make the National Heritage List. All the big ones you can name are on there, like Uluru and the Great Barrier Reef and so forth. It's South Australia's 10th entry, though, and it's, I'm sure, music to the ears of our next guest, Craig Wilkins, the CEO of Conservation SA. Craig, good morning to you.
Good morning.
This is a cracking story, Craig. I've got to say, I really, really want to do this because everyone I know who's gone and seen these cuttlefish when they're all lit up and on the move says it's a totally remarkable sight.
Absolutely, you must. It is pretty spectacular. I've been lucky enough to go twice, and as I say to people, where else in the world can you take half a dozen steps off the rocks, put your head underwater, and be right in the middle of a David Attenborough documentary? It is quite extraordinary, and it's right on our doorstep. It's a hidden treasure. But now with this national listing, hopefully more people will realise how wonderful this is.
Is the listing, is it about gaining, is it important reputationally, or does it mean something changes fundamentally about how people can interact with the reef?
It's a little bit of both, because the National Heritage Listing, there is an impact in terms of the EPBC Act, which is our main environmental legislation. So because it's on the National Heritage List, it has an extra level of status there. But the reality is, because it's such an important environmental feature, it was already going to be sort of captured by that piece of legislation. So probably not a huge amount of difference in terms of actual protection, but in terms of storytelling, in terms of reputation, in terms of that sense of, should we be putting this place at risk, that the national recognition will surely help. Because, right now the state government is considering the location for a desalination plant in that part of the world. And right next to where the cuttlefish breeding grounds are is one of the potential sites. And so this national listing, I think, just really reinforces why Point Lowly isn't really the best option for that desalination plant.
Got to say, that sounds like the silliest idea I've ever heard. Given that we've already got a desal plant that we never turned on anyway, I didn't know we were going to build another one, and certainly not on top of a whole pile of wonderful cuttlefish.
Yeah, well, actually, there's 3 sites being considered, and one of them is well south of Whyalla and well away from the cuttlefish. So we've been saying that that's a much better option if they're going to proceed with that plan. Do
you worry, Craig, that, I'm probably a bit more laissez-faire when it comes to ideas of developing things or promoting things. But what are the sort of crowd numbers like at the moment? Would it be good if this became more of a draw card, or do we want to sort of keep this to ourselves a bit, do you think?
That's a really good question, actually, because at the moment it is fairly relaxed and casual. You can just rock up and you don't need specialist equipment, so anyone can just pipe in a car, hop out, and then jump into the water. It is bloody cold, so it makes sense to have a wetsuit, and it's much better if you've got some snorkeling gear.
But it's not deep though, is it? You don't have to go out way over your head or anything.
Oh, you can just float about around 3 to 5 meters above what's going on. So yeah, it is, as I say, it is bloody cold. So it does make sense to come prepared. But there aren't many facilities there, and there isn't a huge amount of protection in terms of numbers. So you raise a good question whether we need to step up that kind of oversight to make sure we don't love this place to death, because the worst thing that can happen is that it gets thumped and then the cuttlefish decide not to gather, because it is truly remarkable. It's a very rare thing for this number of what are called cephalopods or the cuttlefish from the cephalopod family to gather in one place for breeding. And they've been likened to the rock stars of the ocean, and so essentially once a year, those waters near Point Lowly become Woodstock, and these rock stars strut and preen and dance around, and they do their biz, and it is quite an extraordinary sight.
Sounds great. Craig Wilkins, CEO of Conservation SA. If any of our listeners have been there, let us know. 8223
Might have pictures, something you can share with us.
Send some pictures in on the
love
text line.
Let's turn our attention to sport. Rowie and Timmy G last night got onto the issue of equal pay in sport. It followed the comments of Shani Norder, who formerly Shani Layton, people might know her as the former netballer, AFLW player. Here's a bit of what Rowie and Timmy G had to say.
I think it's economics, it's supply and demand, it's appeal as one thing. It's earn your keep, earn your stripes. How about organically? How about this? How about improve the standard, and I think the rewards will come. Develop the game. That to me just comes across as money hungry. And here's a thought. If you want to take the leaf out of anyone's book, have a look at how the Australian women's cricket team go about their game. They never complain about equal this, equal that, we're doing this, we're doing that. They get on with being great. They don't stand there, big-mouthed, with cap in hand. And it just rubs sporting people up the wrong way.
The issue for mine is, Rowan, I don't think at this stage it is a men versus women argument at all.
Should never be, and it never was with the Australian women's cricket team or the Matildas.
It's about a competition that has come to life 7 years ago, where the AFL brought it in underneath its banner.
And it's come a long way.
And it has, but it's got years to go.
Of course it has.
Because if it's to catch up to the standard of what I'd say is what we have now in this nation of cricketers, the women's cricketers are fantastic to watch. They're fantastic to watch, and it's a really good standard, and they're a good
and
players.
they've done it organically.
But it's taken years.
That's right.
And what's happened at the moment, what I'm worried about, you're saying about the clubs now, the bottom clubs get to poach the top clubs. What you've done is you've advanced it too quickly.
Correct.
We should have had 9 teams or 8 teams for a lot longer, and then squirted it out 2 clubs at a time over 20 years.
I reckon based on what we've seen in India over the last couple of weeks, they should be paid more than the men.
the money women's T20 cricket is quite extraordinary. It's always, you run the risk it's going to be 4 blokes commenting on the status of gender pay inequality in sport. But there's inequalities that exist even within that. I always wonder how you resolve it intellectually. If you say, okay, the pay should be equal to the equal job. Well, women's hockey players don't get as much as women's AFLW players. Why is that fair? What about other minor sports that don't get any pay whatsoever? What about we don't get paid as much as Kyle Sandilands, nor should we. The guy's got millions of people that listen to him.
I think we should get paid a lot more than Kyle Sandland.
But you know what I mean? There's inherent inequalities on the basis of...
Whatever you say about us, we're not morally bankrupt halfwits.
My example was less about the content than it was about the audience, the size of the audience. But you know what I'm saying?
Okay. What about you got inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame last year? My God.
I did that just to trigger you, I'll be honest. It's 29 after 7. 5AA News is coming up. More from Rowie and Timmy G tonight.
If you were on North Terrace today, you might have passed by Samri, the cheese grater. Great things are happening right here in Adelaide. Bright minds are researching diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and preterm birth, to name a few. Every day and late into the night, we are working hard. If the lights are on, so are our bright minds. At Samri, we don't grate cheese. We do great things. Follow our progress at samri.org.au.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
The death toll from the Greece passenger and freight train collision has reached 43, with around 20 people still missing. It's believed the accident was due to human error. The Transport Minister has resigned and the station master's been arrested, with 2 others detained for questioning. Journalist Vigelis Basilis says there are a lot of emergency crews on the ground.
The passenger train, we can see the third wagon of the train that was hit and was destroyed.
SA's road tolls in the spotlight again as the number of fatalities continues to grow. A horror head-on at Lincoln Gap yesterday claimed 2 lives, pushing the total to 26. That's more than double what it was at this time last year. Acting Superintendent Damien Eichner says behind the figures are families being torn apart.
These numbers are more than numbers. These are loved ones, these are family members, these are friends, these are children. Any life lost on our road is one too many.
A disqualified driver's been arrested in the Barossa after a police chase. His Holden Calais was spotted in Salisbury South just before 2 a.m, but he refused to stop and led police to Gawler, where they lost sight of him. Just before 3 a.m, police spotted him at a petrol station in Tanunda. The 20-year-old man from Angaston was arrested and charged with a number of driving offences. The man suspected of killing Toya Cordingley has spent his first night behind bars in Australia ahead of his extradition to Queensland. Rawinder Singh briefly fronted the Melbourne Magistrates Court yesterday after arriving from Delhi with Queensland detectives. The court heard police have DNA evidence linking him to Toya, who was found dead on a beach north of Cairns in 2018. Singh will arrive in Cairns via a private air charter later today. Small businesses, regional communities and everyday Australians are being invited to have their say on changes to our postal service. The federal government wants to modernise Australia Post as online retail sales continue to grow. It's opening a 2-month consultation process. Communications Minister Michelle Rowland says they want to make sure the service is meeting the needs of consumers.
We know that these international competitors who are coming in are offering very fast delivery services, often next day or sometimes even within hours. We want to make sure Australia Post can compete with that and also offer those kinds of services that Australians expect.
A new health app has been launched, making it easier for people to access their medical history. People can check COVID-19 test results, allergy information and hospital discharge summaries on the My Health app. There are also security steps to protect your data. The Australian Digital Health Agency Chief Clinical Advisor, Dr Steve Hamilton, says the information will be secure.
This is health information and the highest levels of security need to be put in place. So it's encrypted at rest, it's encrypted in transit, it meets the highest levels of safety, it's protected by a biometric acknowledgement that's on your phone.
And teenagers will only be able to spend a maximum of 1 hour on TikTok every day under new rules being enforced by the app. Users under 18 will be automatically set the daily screen time limit, which they can opt out of. The company claims the feature adds to robust safety settings, including only allowing young people over 16 to have public accounts. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia is in a dominant position after day one of the third test against India in indoor. The home side was dismissed for only 109, with Matt Kuhneman taking 5 for 16. And the Aussies reached 4 for 156 in reply at stumps, already giving them a lead of 47 runs. Still on cricket, and it's a must-win game for SA today when they take on Queensland at the Gabba in their Shield clash. The Redbacks will be without Wes Agar, who's being rested ahead of the Marsh Cup final. SA's Nathan McAndrew will have his eye on 2 Queensland players.
Well, their batting lineup's probably a bit more inexperienced, but they've still got, an incredibly strong bowling lineup. Michael Neser and Mark Steckety with a new ball are 2 of the best, and especially up here on the Gabba, they know their conditions, they know the lengths that they need to bowl, and they're probably their 2 match winners.
To football, Port Adelaide will tackle Fremantle tonight in a practice match in WA. Meantime, AFL great Matthew Richardson has strongly defended the proposed Hobart Football Stadium against criticism it will struggle to attract spectators. Richardson, who grew up in Tasmania, says this stadium will be regularly packed with fans if the Apple Isle gets a team.
Particularly when you're getting the better Melbourne clubs finally starting to go down there and play. You're telling me that's not going to be a great atmosphere for a player to go and play in, and they're not going to enjoy that atmosphere? It's going to be a lot more enjoyable than going out and playing at Giant Stadium in Western Sydney. Metricon Stadium's a great stadium, but it's rarely full. This stadium will be full.
To soccer, Arsenal's now 2-0 up against Everton in their EPL clash with about half hour to play. One other game on as well, Liverpool and Wolverhampton locked at 0-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Bathroom Works quick and affordable bathroom makeovers. Get a quote at bathroomwerx.com.
Good morning. Roads working well for the drive-in today. Won't have too many hassles, which is excellent. Got a few roadworks you might want to keep in mind today. You find them at Leawood Gardens. Speeds are now to 40 there. That's on the freeway near Mount Barker Road. Wingfield works there. Salisbury Highway near the Wingfield ramp. And they've been working right at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway, so she's pretty slow this morning. 2 lanes closed as you're heading into the city. Cameras at Delphi Terrace, Glenelg North and Anglevale Road of Virginia. The King Anniversary Sale ends soon. Save on selected Australian designed award-winning furniture. Sale ends soon. Visit the King Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Tintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy and 24 today, sunny tomorrow 27, sunny on Saturday 28 and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. Right now 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 8. Everyone's already having a good time. It's because Matt Abraham's in the studio.
5 out of 10, every time.
Matthew Abraham on 5AA Breakfast.
Thanks to the great people at Mitre 10. Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David. Welcome back, Matt. We missed you last week. We soldiered on in your absence, but it wasn't as good as
a struggle, was it?
It was a massive struggle.
There were complaints.
There were complaints.
Yeah, there were.
People actually rang up and said, "Where's Matt?"
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Is that my auntie? Or?
Yeah.
No.
Ethel Abraham.
My sister. Good morning, Carmen.
It was a Jim Chalmers style experiment to see whether people would be upset if you weren't here. And so, we flew the kite and we pulled down the kite.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, we drove. We've been on a big road trip. We drove to Bowral across the Hay Plain. And you know how, do you remember Leon Bignell during the great heat wave? He had these certificates printed saying, I survived the great heat wave of sort of whatever it was, I think 20-something around. And I'm thinking getting a T-shirt done, I survived the Hay Plain, because, and I've done that drive, we've lived in Sydney and we've lived in Canberra. And so I've done that drive a lot of times back home to Adelaide across the Hay Plain. I have never, ever seen the road, the Sturt Highway, so bad. It's the floodwaters have got under the surface of the bitumen, asphalt, and obviously loosened it up, and then the trucks have just as
pulverised it.
Yeah, well, they pushed it up. It's like someone's just got a big hand and pushed it all the tar to each side of the road. So the whole way you're driving in potholes. It's unbelievable, and the speed limit hasn't been dropped, so it's 110k most of the way with B doubles. It was a nightmare, and
it's a full-on stretcher road at the best of times, isn't it?
I know.
It's like if God made the world's largest spirit level and plonked it down there between Hay and Balranald, the bubble would not move. It's just this dead, flat expanse of nothing.
Yeah, and the floodwaters came up from the rivers, and the roads. They're going to need to spend big money on that road. I know the NRMA is calling for New South Wales roads to get about 2.3 billion, and I would think that's underselling it hugely. We then attempted to come back. We went down through Jerilderie to beautiful downtown Tooleybuck.
Ned Kelly's last stand.
Is it?
Jerilderie. That's where he wrote the Jerilderie letter.
Is there a statue?
I think there is.
Oh.
I think there's a Ned Kelly bakery there.
I missed lots of things. Of course there's a Ned Kelly bakery.
Tooleybuck, heart of the Riverina.
There's a Ned Kelly bakery on Port Road. A lot closer. But there was a 60-kilometre stretch from Moolamine to Kylite where just large sections of the road weren't there anymore. There's just huge holes, potholes. And then we encountered a herd of cows, black sort of cows. It's like being in some sort of out-of-body experience.
And so sounds like there was limited traffic control. There wasn't sort of cones out saying and.
Oh, no, there were no lights or anything. They had signs saying hazard 60, but you really need to be doing 6 kilometres an hour through it. I am doing this sort of weird travelogue for my In-Daily column, and I do have this theory that does Adelaide really exist? Is the Hay Plain some sort of time and space continuum? So are we? Is it like being on North East Road, main North East Road? But anyway, that's that. I think Jim Chalmers has been suffering from a time and space continuum at the moment.
It was. I mean, as someone who likes to dissect not just spin, but also the way in which politicians' media strategy, it was a pretty stunning series of events that took place yesterday, starting with that interview with David Koch on Sunrise and culminating with, Anthony Albanese jumping on media shortly after 9 o'clock to say, no, we wouldn't touch
the family home.
And then eventually, a little bit later, the Treasurer answering a question from Kieran Gilbert saying, I would have done it differently if I had my time again.
Yeah. But let's just look at this. This started a few days before this, because what the government did, and I reckon this is like Peter Dutton must have got up that morning and got down and said, thank you, God. Thank you. Because what they did was they published, Treasury modelling showing all the tax concessions that Australians get. And it's effectively a hit list. It included the family home. It included negative gearing. And it included, obviously, super tax concessions. So there's this whole list. So the opposition, and Jim Chalmers wasn't at the start ruling any of it in or out. They were flying kites,
Which is what scared people so much, because everything was on the table.
Exactly. And that was a problem with the Koshy, problem for him with the Koshy.
And also, Albo hadn't resolved the question of whether they were going to seek a mandate for it or not, which, to his credit, he's now done.
Well, he's going to introduce the legislation, get it through. Now, it'll be interesting if it gets through without a major modification. And that modification is, will this $3 million limit that they're going to put on tax concessions for super be indexed? Because if it's not indexed, within 5 to 10 years, it will be catching a lot more people than the current,
hell yeah,
80,000.
There's some modelling that is, in Phil Curry's article this morning in the Fin Review from the Grattan Institute that says, so within 30 years, it'll go from affecting 1% of people to 1 in 10. So it'll be 10 times as many people are captured by it. The Financial Services Council says that without indexation, for a worker currently aged 25 and planning to retire at 65, the value of $3 million will actually only be $1.1 million in today's numbers, which is sort of in the order of what they try to suggest you have to retire comfortably. For a 40-year-old planning to retire in 25 years, the value of $3 million would be almost halved. It'd be about 1.62. But Jim Chalmers has said they're not indexing it.
Well, I know he's saying that, and I would think it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, I assume the Greens, because the Greens basically would rather you didn't have a family home, that you all sort of rented it from some sort of...
Well, no, they want us all to live. They want everyone to live at the Aldinga Eco Village.
Yes, in a yurt. They want people to be in yurts. But
nothing against the good people at the Aldinga Eco Village.
But even on the current scheme, super is very complex, and I think a lot of politicians don't understand it.
They understand how theirs works.
They understand how theirs works, but people who are on super and are relying on it understand it very, very well. And I made it my business to understand my super very, very well. And there are tax breaks in super. And for instance, you can pay money into a super fund after you retire and you keep working, or while you're working, up to $26,000 a year. And you get then to claim that back because it goes into the concessional rate of 15 cents in a dollar. You get to claim that back against your income. So you can reduce your income tax, depending on, it can be quite significant. Now, he looked at reducing that from 26,000 to 20,000. That was on the Treasury sort of hit list of concessions, so he hasn't gone back to that. But what, to me, is unfair about a lot of this is that let's look at that question of a concession on your income tax. You've already paid tax on that money. This is not pre-tax money. So you've already paid tax, a full rate of tax on the money that you put into super. That then gets taxed at 15 cents in a dollar going into super. So you're taxed twice. He's then saying, well, you get taxed on the way out. We're going to tax you at 30 cents in a dollar. People looking at, well, wait a minute, I'm getting taxed a fair bit on this money. People have got big super investments. Do you reckon they're going to sit there and be paying 30 cents in a dollar tax on it? They won't. They'll pull those investments out. And what does that do to Treasury modelling?
What does it do to the value of companies as well?
Well, exactly.
What does it do to everybody else's super?
Exactly. The other question is how do they... You talked about Anthony Albanese's super, and a lot of the politicians are in the old scheme. There are 3 Commonwealth schemes that have been closed off, but are still running. People are in them, including me. Now, those schemes are what are called defined benefit schemes, where you effectively get a pension, and you can take part lump sum. You get a pension. Jim Chalmers says he's going to go after that with this $3 million limit. They haven't worked out how they're going to do that, because you've got to look at how long is somebody going to live that they're going to get that pension. I mean, you're basically gambling when you're in those schemes. Like if you die a year after you retire, then you don't get your pension. Your money basically disappears. I think there's a component goes to your surviving spouse or whatever. How are they going to encompass that? That covers around 500,000, according to the Australian today. 500,000 retired or potentially retired public servants, service people, defence service people. There are a lot of, in state schemes here in South Australia, there are a lot of teachers who are in defined benefit schemes. So how do you work out...
anyone who worked as a Commonwealth public servant up until the end of the Whitlam era, wasn't it?
Yeah. It went a lot longer than that. It went into,
the 80s.
It went well into the 80s.
Yeah. To your point about Dutton as well, I know Labor's tried to paint him as sort of Frankenstein's monster. I think what Jim Chalmers has done, particularly in the context of how this is going to go down in the teal seats, is he's applied the copper helmet to his head, pulled down the big switch on the generator, and he's now got red-hot electricity coursing through his veins, and he's come smashing out of the laboratory.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Yeah. You look at... Sorry, just quickly. You look at a seat like Boothby. Even on these changes... if the Liberals do what they should do, and that is run a hell of a scare campaign, I can't see Labor holding Boothby in the next federal... Now, I know it's a long way off, but there'll be a lot of people, voters in Boothby, your teal-type voters, who'll be looking at this thinking, well, what are they going to come after next? Or are they already going to affect me?
Which is Chalmers' fault, because, to quote Ed Sheeran, he's got to stop thinking out loud, which is what his whole thing is, just sort of... This meandering, oh yeah, well, no, we haven't. We're not looking at that, but we might, It's like, what?
And you're doing this in a climate where we've had 9 successive interest rate rises. So there are people, on one hand, trying to protect their future assets and trying to keep their current assets like their family home. It's a dynamite situation, and a dynamite environment for a government that has let this run in my view, very carelessly.
It just doesn't strike me as bang for your political buck when you talk about budget repair. It's $2 billion.
Yeah.
You've picked a big fight to win back very little. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday.
And a fight whose symbolism stretches well beyond the small number of very well-off people who are affected by it.
The credibility of the government.
That small number of well-off people won't be affected by it because they have well-off accountants and lawyers who will work out, well, where can we park your money? That's
a good point.
We don't want you to be paying tax, so we'll find somewhere else to park your dough.
All right, let's get to some spin.
9 out of 10, every time.
Now, we've been talking about this, but I don't know if you've heard the audio. I know you interviewed Koshy yesterday, but let's have a listen to Jim Chalmers facing, I thought, fantastic questioning from Koshy.
You're not being trusted at the moment. You're starting to raid our superannuation. What's next? Can you guarantee no change ever to the capital gains tax exemption on the family home?
Well, first of all, as you would understand, Koshy, we put out yesterday a whole bunch of numbers about all of the tax breaks in the system. And when we did that, we said that's not a policy statement, it's not a statement of intent, it's just a Treasury summary and analysis of all of those tax breaks. And by announcing our intentions on superannuation yesterday, I think that demonstrated our priorities when it comes to these tax concessions. We haven't been contemplating changes to that one that you identified, but we have...
Not contemplating. Okay, that's sort of a weasel word. Can you guarantee...
Well, not intentionally, Koshy. I'm trying to be upfront with your viewers to tell them.
Trying to be
upfront with your viewers. Now, that deserves its own rating, but his response later, when Anthony Albanese sort of came bolting out of Kirribilli House and said, "Give me a TV camera,"
Jim, go to your room.
Jim said, "I didn't really hear the question clearly." Now, as you can hear from that, who can never hear? I mean, you can hear Koshy across, Adelaide Oval. I'm giving Jim Chalmers a solid, very solid 10 out of 10.
Perfect score. Good on you, Matt. Good to have you back.
Taxed at 15%.
Let's check traffic.
Thanks, Will. The roads are working really well this morning, which is excellent. Getting busy in the usual spots, including South Road at Theberton. Also Anzac High at Karata Park, quite busy. And we are slow going Fullerton Road at the Britannia Roundabout. Do have works to keep in mind today with a lane closed at Fulham, Henley Beach Road near Eltham Court. Speeds at 40 with cameras this morning. So Donald Rabbit Drive, Brooklyn Park and Tapley's Hill Road, Acklenelg North. This March, Bob Jane T-Marts have great buy 3, get 1 free, plus instant cashback deals. With 15 stores located in Adelaide, they'll look after you. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
For over 55 years, Fairmont Homes have been one of SA's most trusted home builders. And when it comes to quality at unbeatable value, it's always Fairmont. And right now, when you build with Fairmont, you'll receive free luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, free 2.7 metre high ceilings, plus free air. An offer this good has to be for a limited time only, so get in quick. For more details, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments, including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the all-new Nissan Qashqai ST. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Experience new sights and sounds with Phil Hoffman Travel and Qatar Airways, with the world's best value stopover deals for a taste of culture and shopping en route to your next European adventure. Make the most of your holiday by turning one holiday into 2 with incredible stopover packages in Qatar, starting from $19 per person per night. Qatar, a destination which surprises and delights at every turn. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel or visit pht.com.au.
As demand for renewable energy grows, it's South Australian resources like the copper produced by BHP that help make it possible. The future is clear. It's happening now at BHP. Discover how at bhp.com/betterworld.
Right now, we need a saviour, a mortgage saviour. Last week, one 5AA listener rang Vince at Mortgage Saviour. They reworked their mortgage payments and saved $9,000 just in the first year. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. With more interest rate hikes on the horizon, it's important to talk to Vince at Mortgage Saviour on 1300 99 8886. Find out what a mortgage saviour can do for you. Go to mortgagesaviour.com.au. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
5 minutes to 8, breaking 8 coming up after 8 o'clock. Also, John Olson, Adelaide Football Club, released a bold 5-year plan that includes an AFL Premiership. And after 8:30, Sarah McLeod playing as part of the 27 Club at Adelaide Fringe. But first, it's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing.
The reason we are playing this, though, Will, before we get to Blakey, is today, believe it or not, this is going to age people. It's 50 years since Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon came out. It was released on this day in 1973.
Fantastic. You know what else today? Happy birthday to the Prime Minister and the Treasurer. They're both born on the same day.
And today's their birthday.
Today's their birthday.
Okay. Plenty to talk about when they go out for beers tonight. Done any interviews lately?
Thanks to the Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64. It's time for John Blake.
And now, a Portaloo Vandal with another tip for real happiness.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, a Portaloo Vandal with some advice. After he's presented his maiden speech, it's going to be enough to make us all dry reach.
Hi, I'm a Portaloo Vandal with another tip for real happiness. If you want to be really happy, be a Portaloo Vandal. There's nothing better for creating a stir than vandalising a Portaloo at the Garden of Unearthly Delights. You can change it into a garden of unbelievable stink-un delights. The best part is, nobody will believe the organisers of the Fringe when they blame us. They'll just think it's a lack of maintenance and blame the organisers for not taking enough care. Because the fact is, we've been vandalising the Portaloos at the Garden of Unearthlies every year since it started. We've always made good and sure that every year the toilets at the garden are as stinky as possible. We put questionable liquid on all the floors and on the toilet seat. We have a special stinky spray that we put in each cubicle, and we've created a disgusting multicoloured material we put into each bowl. You'd think the $4 entry fee they're now charging would pay for security to stop us vandals, but no. Oh, by the way, we do it at Gluttony as well.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, that Portaloo Vandal had some advice. Now that he's told you just what he thinks, you now know exactly why the garden stinks.
Weird how some people get their jollies, isn't it?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Listen to that. Imagine going through life thinking, yeah, I might get into the old vandalising Portaloos. I mean, they're the sort of things you only ever enter under sufferance as a matter of absolute necessity, don't you think? If you could avoid using one, you'd happily go to a proper dunny.
Imagine introducing that you friend to your mates. You're going to love Bob. He's classic. You know what he does? Vandalises Portaloos.
Even worse, imagine if, like, you know, when you're listing your interests on rsvp.com.
I'm just looking for
maybe that's where that guy in Peru went wrong. That Peruvian guy. So you end up dating an 800-year-old mummified corpse.
Just what a nice guy with a steady income that loves vandalising Portaloos.
GSOH, as they say.
Yeah.
Good sense of humour.
Trevor's text in on the Duttons text line says it's also Jeff Kennett's birthday today. It's a big day for Australian politicians' birthdays, March the 2nd. 5AA News is coming up. Breaking at 8 in just a moment.
The Southern Volkswagen 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range. And vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 22 plate clearance. Only at Southern Volkswagen.
LVD 152780.
Think of the deadliest animal in the world.
It doesn't have razor-sharp claws. It doesn't spit venom. It doesn't swim under unsuspecting surfers accompanied by ominous theme music. The only sound it makes is this. With floodwaters still stagnant and unusual weather, South Australians are experiencing a mozzie and fly invasion. Fight back with EcoMist, a natural pest control dispenser that is also safe around your family. Wipe out flies and mozzies naturally with EcoMist. Order today at ecomist.com.au.
G'day, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. If you're a business thinking about advertising on radio, I think the first step is to actually contact one of the crew at FIVEAA and just have a look at what the demographic is, how it would work for your business, what sort of ads might work for you, and then you can make an informed choice as to whether this is the path for you to take or not. In our particular space, there is more and more solar companies on radio, and I think it's important that you stay in the mix. So for us, it's part of our strategy. It's not our entire strategy. It's one of 5 different sources, but you know, if you don't have them all in there, then you're just not part of it.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit fiveaa.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link.
Experience new sights and sounds with Phil Hoffman Travel and Qatar Airways, with the world's best value stopover deals for a taste of culture and shopping en route to your next European adventure. Make the most of your holiday by turning one holiday into 2 with incredible stopover packages in Qatar, starting from $19 per person per night. Qatar, a destination which surprises and delights at every turn. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel or visit pht.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brattig.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
A 3-day mourning period has been announced in Greece after dozens of people were killed in a train crash. The freight and passenger train were heading towards each other on the same track when they collided. At least 43 people have been killed. The local station master has been arrested and the transport minister's resigned. This man was on board and says it was terrifying.
There was panic for 10, 15 seconds. It was chaos. Tumbling over, fires, cables hanging, broken windows, people screaming, people trapped. It was 2 meters high from where we jumped to leave, and beneath that was broken iron debris. But what could we do?
A double fatality has seen SA's road toll hit 26, only 8 weeks into 2023. A man and woman in their 30s were killed yesterday in a head-on collision at Lincoln Gap on the Eyre Peninsula. At this time last year, the road toll was 12. Charles Mountain from the RAA says it's the worst start to the year on our roads since 2010.
Over 70% of the people who've lost their lives on our roads so far this year have occurred on our regional roads. So please, as we move into March, be extra careful on our roads, and particularly if you're driving anywhere in our regional areas where we've seen such an overrepresentation of people being involved in crashes and unfortunately lost their lives so far this year.
A man's been arrested after a chase overnight. The disqualified driver was spotted at Salisbury South but refused to stop, leading police to the Barossa. Senior Constable Peter Williams says he was caught when he stopped for fuel.
Just before 3 a.m, Nuriupa patrols reported sighting the same vehicle at a petrol station in Murray Street in Tanunda. Patrols quickly moved in and arrested the driver of that vehicle, a 20-year-old man from Angaston. He was charged with driving disqualified, driving dangerously to escape police, and he's been bailed to appear in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court in April, and he's also had his vehicle taken off him for 28 days.
The cost of stamps could rise and the lettered delivery system could be overhauled to future-proof Australia Post. The government-owned company is undergoing its biggest overhaul in more than 200 years. Post office licensees and agents have 8 weeks to lodge submissions on how they think the government should modernise the service. TikTok is cracking down on screen time, with teenagers set to be limited to 1 hour a day. Accounts for those under the age of 18 will be automatically set to the daily screen time limit, but it's not a fixed setting. TikTok Australia's General Manager Lee Hunter's told Today it's part of a range of new wellbeing features.
When it comes to things like digital wellbeing, we hear from our users that they love TikTok, but sometimes they might love TikTok a little too much, and they want to have a few things to help them manage that wellbeing. So that's why we have these screen time management tools that aren't just for the teens, where we limit them to 60 minutes a day, but also for any user on the platform.
Prince Harry and Meghan have been evicted from their UK base, Frogmore Cottage. More from Jonathan Kersley.
It's official. According to a spokesperson for the Sussexes, Harry and Meghan have been asked to vacate the premises at Frogmore Cottage at Windsor in the United Kingdom. The couple has not lived there for almost 3 years, moving to California, where they now live at a multi-million-dollar property at Montecito. The Sun newspaper in the United Kingdom reported King Charles set the eviction process in place in January, a day after Prince Harry's book Spare was released. The couple reportedly appalled, viewing it as some sort of cruel punishment. According to reports, the King's brother, Prince Andrew, has been offered the property.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia's new spinner Matt Kuhnemann has taken 5 for 16 on a dominant opening day for the Aussies of the third test in India. The home side was bowled out for only 109 on a spinner's paradise of a deck before the Aussies finished at 4 for 156 at stumps. Test great Mark Waugh has slammed the pitch after the ball was seen to be taking plenty out of the surface in just the early overs.
Fair enough, it goes out of the foot marks, after an hour or so. But that's on the main part of the pitch in front of middle stump. Now, that's just not a pitch up the test standard. That is not good enough. It doesn't matter how good a player you are, you're going to need luck to get runs on this sort of surface.
That audio thanks to Fox Sports. Meantime, South Australia will take on Queensland in a Shield clash starting later this morning at the Gabba. Let's go to football, and Port Adelaide will be without Travis Boak and Junior Rioli for tonight's practice match against Fremantle in WA. The Crows, meantime, will have a light run in Perth ahead of tomorrow night's clash against West Coast. To tennis, and Alex de Minaur is through to the quarterfinals of the Mexican Open after a straight sets win, but South Aussie Thanasi Kokkinakis is out of the Dubai Championships after losing a tight 3-setter against Borna Coric. And the World Surf League has announced an International Women's Day campaign for its next stop on the Championship Tour in Portugal. Competitors will wear the jersey of a woman from any sport who has inspired them. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Bathroom Works quick and affordable bathroom makeovers. Get a quote at bathroomwerx.com.
Roads are working well this morning. Shouldn't have too many great hassles getting to work. Getting busy in the usual spots, including South Road at Theberton, also Fullerton Road at the Britannia Roundabout. Do have work slowing things up at Port Adelaide with the lane close and Vincent's Reek near Church Place, and have been working feverishly at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway. So that's pretty slow at the moment with 2 lanes out as you're heading into the city. Cameras, Military Road West Beach and Kester's Road at Para Hills West. Red Roosters, $2.50 snack subs, each with succulent chicken, crisp lettuce and your choice of sauce packed into a sub. The Roosters calling, get it where you can, while you can, available all day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Tintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy, heading for 24 today. Sunny tomorrow, 27, 28 on Saturday and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. At the moment, 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 8, John Olson coming up in just a moment. We'll talk about the Crows' 5-year plan headlined by a premiership in the next 5 years. 100,000 members, new headquarters.
Dare to dream.
Tell you what, if it's all realised, it sounds just magnificent. We'll learn more about that in the next half hour. We'll also learn how you survive 31 days in the Amazon jungle without food, without water and with a dislocated ankle. This is an incredible story. You'll get more on that in just a few moments. Then after 8:30, Sarah McLeod will join us, who was performing as part of the 27 Club at Adelaide Fringe. This show sounds remarkable. We'll be talking about it after 8:30. But before all that, it's time for Breaking at 8.
Well, our thoughts continue to go out to the family of the poor 11-year-old boy from Trinity College who was struck by a train at Tamlin Railway Station in Evanston Gardens 2 days ago. Almost unbelievably, there was another incident yesterday where a 74-year-old local woman in Grange was also hit by a train at the Grange Railway crossing. Matt Pantelis at 9:30 is going to be interviewing John Whelan, who's the head of the Transport Department. So tune in for that later on. We have the Minister for Transport and Infrastructure, Tom Koutsantonis, on the line now to flesh this story out a little bit more. Tom, thank you for your time.
No problem.
These are just shocking stories, and as I said at the start, our thoughts and prayers are with the two people and their families in this case. Is there anything that can be done to make these crossings safer? I mean, I know it's a difficult situation because you need them to be open enough for people to get in and out as pedestrians, to get to work and to get to school and so forth, but I guess these two cases are a bit of a wake-up call, aren't they?
They are. Look, we're struggling with this. To be entirely honest with you, David, all of our crossings meet the Australian safety standards, and they've been in place like this for a very, very long time. People, by and large, know how to use them and use them safely, but we get these horrific situations, that little boy and of course, what happened with that woman yesterday. And that little boy is the same age as my daughter, and I can't stop thinking about it, and we're racking our brains about what we do here. Will signalised gates fix this, potentially? But there are nearly 300 crossing points across our rail network, and with each electronic signalised gate costing $4 million, we're talking close to $800 to $1 billion worth of expenditure along our rail line. That is a very, very expensive piece of work. Or do we have a program of works where we pick out what we think are the most dangerous? But the problem we have, of course, is all of our experts are telling us these crossings are safe, and it's misadventure and I hate to say this while people have got their loved ones in a hospital, is it just inattention? But we need to do more education in our schools. We need to have potentially better signage. But there are just some people who are not waiting until the lines are clear. So it is a very, very difficult problem, but we are looking at it very, very closely about what it is we can do.
I guess part of the thing too is, trains operate according to certain timetables, but would it be feasible? I mean, it might make people's trips longer, but would it be? Is there a possibility that you could look at areas that are more vulnerable or more congested and see if there's a way that trains could slow down, or would that just mean the whole system would grind to a halt?
We are thinking about that, but that would be a fundamental change to the entire timetabling system. I won't lie, David. The most complaints I get to my office are about bus timetables and train timetables, and about whether they're on time or not. So any fundamental change to that would fundamentally change the way the entire city works. So we are looking at all of this, even about whether or not we staff gates. We have people there at peak hours, almost like conductors. So we're looking at everything. But ultimately, that's the problem. If you staff some and not others, does that mean that the others are you can cross with abandon? I mean, we still want people to be paying attention as they're crossing. There are so many consequences to what we do here. And I wish there was one easy solution, but there's not. And I'd love to hear what your listeners have to say, but the department got experts working on it, and I also say to your listeners, have a thought for the train drivers as well.
Yeah, for sure.
This is life-changing stuff. These drivers live with this for the rest of their lives.
I was literally going to ask you about that next. I was just thinking, because I would cross the line at East Grange where that awful incident happened yesterday, probably a couple of times a week. We go through it all the time. I can't imagine how it could possibly be any safer. The entire line is fenced beyond one access point with a whole host of warnings, and I actually think it's currently really, really well designed. But on the issue of the drivers, what happens after they've been involved in an incident like this, Minister? Is there some sort of psychological counselling or program they go through? It must be awful.
Oh, absolutely. We wrap our arms around these people as much as we possibly can. Keolis Downer are making sure that they have access to all the psychological assistance that they need, mental health assistance that they need. But when that's all over, you're still left with the fact that you hit someone.
Yeah.
And it's not like in a motor vehicle where, I suppose, you have greater control. But these things are on tracks, and they're under pressure to meet timetables, so they're moving, and they can't stop. Now, near misses are a problem. They use their horns as often as they can. They try and warn people, but I say to your listeners, this stays with people. Our train drivers are good people. They don't want to hurt anyone. And when this happens, it is life-changing, and they take it with them. And I'm trying to tell them, look, it's not your fault. The state's behind you. We understand what happened. It's not your fault. But in the end, people internalise this stuff. And depending on the individual, is how they take it. But it's very, very tough and very, very hard.
Yeah. We appreciate you coming on. Tom Keatson-Tonis, the Minister for Transport, thanks for joining us this morning. And as we said, John Whelan will be on with Pant in just over an hour. On a much lighter note, I had another good and upbeat breaking at 8, which is good news today. The government is announcing that they're calling for tenders for the new Flinders Chase Visitor Centre, which is yet another sign that Kangaroo Island is coming back to life. Expressions of interest open today to run the cafe and retail space. It sounds like an amazing building, built by the excellent people, Will at Troppo Architects, who we know and love. And if you want a bit of a sea change, tree change, with Flinders Chase roaring back to life, that would be a terrific place. You can check out the details about how to get involved on the parkssa.gov.au website. And one bit of housekeeping, not that I expected there to be crowds being turned away for this, but just on the off chance that any of our 5AA listeners were intending to go along, because I was calling for moral backup to Riders Week at 9:30am this Sunday, I've actually had to regretfully pull out. I was extremely grateful to Louise Adler for extending an invitation for me to be on the panel with Bob Carr and Mark Scott and a bunch of other people about freedom of speech and cancel culture. But just on account of the eye surgery tomorrow, I mean, there's a 50-50 chance I might still have an eye patch on Sunday. And the doctor did say, no, don't be silly, you shouldn't do anything at all until, Monday at the very earliest, so I'm not going.
Not a protest.
Not a boycott.
Yeah, I know you've had the eye thing coming.
Yeah.
So
I should have said no when Louise contacted me, but I just wasn't thinking. I was in a highly emotional state after the interview we'd just done with her. Anyway, I won't be there.
The great shame is you not turning up wearing an eye patch, looking like the pirate defender of commercial media. I think it's a missed opportunity, but all the same, understood. Because they recommend you have a week off after you get that surgery, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the doctor said you should take 5 days off, and I said I only work 3 hours a day. I wake up, talk nonsense for 3 hours and go back to sleep. That's not a real job. He said, no, it doesn't sound like one.
You might not know the name Jonathan Acosta. He's a 30-year-old man from Bolivia, a hunter. But I suspect he might be the next subject of a major feature film about surviving against all the odds. He survived for 31 days in the Amazon jungle after getting lost. You don't need to be an expert in the Amazon to know survivability for human beings in the Amazon. They're sort of incompatible concepts unless you are native to the region. He survived by drinking rainwater collected in his shoes, which goes to show the shoey has at least saved one life. Ate worms and insects, but had to hide from jaguars and peccaries, a type of pig-like mammal that are apparently really dangerous to humans. He was found by a search party that was made up by locals a full month after he'd gone missing. He'd lost 17 kilos in weight. He dislocated his ankle on the 4th day of being missing. So the ankles popped out. He could barely walk. And at that moment, he thought, I'm probably going to die out here. He had a shotgun with one cartridge in it that he had to discharge at one point in time when there were these peccaries were in the area. They're apparently dangerous because they are a type of animal that, there's the flight or fight. Their view is always fight.
They're always up for it.
They always fight. They don't run.
You want to go. You don't want to go. You don't want to say that to a peccary.
No. And if you get a whole heap of them around, you're in real strife. So he confronted. There was a jaguar hunting him at one point as well. He eventually had to, with his busted ankle, run towards the voices he heard kilometres away searching for him. and that's how he was ultimately found. But 31 days.
The other night I was putting Sam to bed, Kate came in, she said, what the hell are you doing? I said, we're watching a YouTube documentary about Amazonian blow dart hunting. Those indigenous people who live in the jungle in the Amazon, have you seen the way they make those blow darts where they get the rainbow frogs and they put like a little pinprick on it and then suck it into the hollowed out sort of bamboo? But apparently there were guys who, when they were doing land clearing through the Amazon, there were guys working on roads there for mining companies who'd just be standing there with their shovels, and then suddenly one of them would go, oh, just touch their neck and just face plant into the mud because there was some little Indian dude who was thinking, get out of our territory, firing frog venom at them.
Not funny if you're working on it.
Incredible.
Rob on the text line says, come on, Dave, Writers' Week would have been good for a one-eyed opinion. John says the eyes have it. Thank you. Dutton's text. Lots of texts around the train situation as well, winning lots and lots. And to summarise a host of them, a lot of people thinking of the drivers, and I think that's a sentiment well worth repeating. As someone said, they don't, you can't swerve when you're driving a train. But we'll read out some of your texts in full because some thoughtful contributions to this discussion. And the Minister for Transport, Tom Coates-Stone, has made the point, hey, if you've got an idea of, as someone who travels around and crosses tracks and rides on trains, of how we can make this safer, we're all ears at the moment because they...
Would you cop a 10-minute longer trip?
Well, as Terry from Henley Beach makes the point, the Grange train comes in at 5 k's an hour at that point.
Yeah,
how much slower can we go?
It's not rocketing through, is it?
No, not at that point. Let's take a break. John Olson from the Adelaide Football Club will join us next. He's going to explain to us how the Crows are going to win the Premiership in the next 5 years. Traffic first.
Thanks, Will. Roads are looking pretty good today. No great hassles. Busy in a few spots, including Fullerton Road to the Britannia Roundabout. South Road at Theberton, pretty slow going at the moment. Got works to look out for at Woodville Park, Port Road near Garth Street. And we are slow at Campbelltown with a lane out of action, Lower North East Road near Brooker Avenue. Cameras this morning, Mayterrace Lockleys and Shepherdson Road at Parafield Gardens. Get into your Ford dealership quick and get into an Everest quicker with our Beyonce in stock now. See Ford.com.au for details. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
So here's Shani Layton, who was an AFLW player. She's after equal pay for men and women.
The argument still comes up around that women need to be bringing in more money.
Oh, do you Jews? I mean, honestly, earn your stripes. How about improve the standard and I think the rewards will come?
Rowie and Timmy G.
The talent pool, we have rushed this and we got 18 clubs to fill. It's too much.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Ranella Mazda 2022 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the entire range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 2022 plate clearance. Only at Ranella Mazda.
LBD 322-736.
Right now, we need a saviour, a mortgage saviour. Last week, one 5AA listener rang Vince at Mortgage Saviour. They reworked their mortgage payments and saved $9,000 just in the first year. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. With more interest rate hikes on the horizon, it's important to talk to Vince at Mortgage Saviour on 1300 99 886. Find out what a mortgage saviour can do for you. Go to mortgagesaviour.com.au. T's and C's apply.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
22 minutes after 8, the Adelaide Football Club have revealed their strategic vision for the next 5 years entitled Earn the Pride. It features a whole host of things, including a membership tally reaching 100,000, community programs being accessible to 100,000 participants, relocating the club to the new Theberton base by 2026. The headliner, though, a premiership for the AFL side. John Olson is the chairman of the Adelaide Football Club and joins us now. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
Now, John, we've been talking a bit about Jim Chalmers' interview yesterday on Sunrise and whether he can hand-on-heart guarantee things. Wearing your old political hat, can I just ask you, are you promising that the Crows will win the flag, or are you saying we're aiming to win the flag?
We want to hold ourselves accountable to win a flag over the course of the next 5 years.
So that's a yes, we're going to win the flag.
Well, given the progress the squad has made over the course of the last year, with Isaac Rankin coming in, Jordan Dawson stepping up as captain, having returned from Sydney, the depth and the squad is really encouraging. You only had to see the shootout against Fremantle last week to look at the talent that's emerging in the Adelaide Footy Club and the competition there is for the A-list team.
Just to drill down on that a little bit, and you alluded to it a little bit in that answer. So is this a 5-year vision that you've come to recently on account of the teams, the progress that's been made, or at the start of the rebuild had you circled 2027 and said that's a viable aim?
Well, we exist to play finals footy. That's the mantra and the clear objective of the club. But you're right. What we've seen emerge over the last year, more particularly the commitment, the culture that's in the club at the moment, the way Matthew Nicks has built this team spirit amongst the players, the bulking up of our younger players, the way they are stepping up. And I just get this sense that this club and the playing group and the assistant coaches under Matthew Nicks have a very clear, defined strategy, and that journey has come to the point that over the next 5 years we should be in the position of a premiership win. And you've got to have an objective and goal to aspire to, and everybody needs to be held accountable to that over the next 5 years so that we achieve it.
What's going to be harder, winning a flag or getting the headquarters finalised? Is that still proving elusive, or can you see the finish line now, John?
There's progress. It's taking some considerable time, but as we look through and work our way through options for the Theberton precinct, we're out in the community, we're listening to the community, we're having a dialogue with them. We've communicated, I think it's in 5 different languages within the local area. We've had information sessions, and I think one this evening, if my memory serves me correctly, where we communicate. We are taking feedback from the local community. And then, of course, it takes some time. By the time the architects have a look at it, the cost assessors have a look at it, making sure there aren't unintended consequences of any amendments that you might be making to the plan. But we want to go to Theberton Oval, be a good citizen, taking into account the wishes of the local community and building them in as best we possibly can in the final plans that will go to council towards I think it's the end of this month or next month.
You've cleared all the debt that got taken on during the COVID period and recorded a statutory profit of $2.63 million. Can you parlay financial strength into a competitive advantage in the AFL in 2023, or is that sort of an antiquated view?
No, it's... the financial strength and eliminating debt is important because we'll be going to the bank in the not-too-distant future, but borrow substantial funds to build our new headquarters. And if we're borrowing up towards $20 million to enable this new headquarters to go ahead, it was important for us to have been able to clear our debt. If you go to the bank asking for more money and you have no debt, it's a bit of an advantage rather than increasing your debt at the bank. So that's why we pursued that with good cost control and membership increase. We had a 5% increase in membership to near record levels last year. Our membership supporters and our commercial division and sponsors have all stepped up, increased membership and financial support of the club. So that is important on the journey to get a new headquarters. We have fully invested, for example, our soft cap in our men's team. So our expenditure in that area has been to maximise the support for the football department. To go back to what I mentioned earlier, we exist to play finals footy. That's our core objective and focus.
Well, we're going to have something to aim for, and I reckon every Crows fan listening will say you're aiming for the right stuff. John Olson, the chairman of the Adelaide Football Club, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, guys. Good to be with you.
28 minutes after 8. Let us know what you think, Crows fans.
Which year will it be?
Well, I think they might need every bit of the 5 years.
It's not 2023, is it?
I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest there's been a significant shift in the prospects of the playing list in the last 12 months. I think things have come on quickly recently. Now, that's not to say you can't maintain always, and growth isn't linear, but I get why the club suddenly feels emboldened to make a claim like this now, because I think 12 months ago they might have said it was a 10-year plan.
Mm. Got a text from a Port supporter saying, why are we spending so much time talking about the Adelaide Football Club? Well, I would say that's the first time we've had John Olson on the program in about 8 months, and you can hear David Kosh, your president, every Wednesday on the 5AA Breakfast Show.
29 minutes after.
Get the garden you want at Garden Grove. Start with Instant Lawn. Garden Grove are the instant lawn experts with a big range of well-priced, top-quality instant lawns for instant laying now. So for the lawn you want, see Garden Grove, Golden Grove Road, Golden Grove. Open 7 days. Phone 8251 1111 for delivery to your area.
Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. See classic F1 cars, Group A, V8 supercars, alongside electric race cars and brand displays at Victoria Park, March 25 and 26. Search Adelaide Motorsport Festival.
Brunella Mazda 2022 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the entire range. And vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 2022 plate clearance. Only at Brunella Mazda.
LBD 322 736.
For over 55 years, Fairmont Homes have been one of SA's most trusted home builders. And when it comes to quality at unbeatable value, it's always Fairmont. And right now, when you build with Fairmont, you'll receive free luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, free 2.7 metre high ceilings, plus free air. An offer this good has to be for a limited time only, so get in quick. For more details, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
At least 43 people have been confirmed dead after a passenger and freight train collided in Greece. Jess Millwood has the latest.
The Greek Prime Minister has said human error is to blame for the train disaster, and during a visit to the scene has vowed to get to the bottom of what caused it. Among many of the dead, young people returning to university from Athens. Sadly, the death toll is expected to rise, with more than 20 people still missing in the wreckage. The Transport Minister has resigned and the local station master has been arrested and charged with manslaughter. Greece will observe 3 days of national mourning.
SA's road toll has climbed to 26 after a double fatality at Lincoln Gap on the Eyre Peninsula yesterday. It's our worst start to the year since 2010. 70% of the fatalities have been in regional areas. And Charles Mountain from the RAA says many of the victims have been vulnerable road users.
So far we've seen 2 motorcyclists, 2 pedestrians and a cyclist who've lost their lives as well. So again, this highlights the importance of everyone doing the right thing on the road and being particularly aware of the presence of vulnerable road users when we're out on our road network.
2 teenagers have been caught allegedly breaking into cars at Campbelltown overnight. Police were called to Victor Road just before 1 a.m. and set up cordons. Senior Constable Peter Williams says the boys were found nearby.
The males were searched and found to be in possession of a set of car keys which were being stolen during a break-in at a premise on Montacute Road back on the 26th of February. One of the males, a 16-year-old boy from Blair Athol, was arrested and charged with illegal interference, unlawful on premises, possessing an article to commit an offence and unlawful possession. The other male, a 16-year-old boy from Fringe, was charged with the same offences.
The cost of postage stamps could go up and letters could be delivered less frequently under proposed reforms to Australia Post. The government-owned company is undergoing its biggest overhaul in more than 200 years. It's reported its first full-year loss since 2015, after letters losses reached nearly $190 million. Social media platform TikTok is changing the way children can use the app. Lara Vella explains.
These changes might be wishful thinking, but they will be welcomed by parents who struggle to get their kids to have a break from TikTok. With the social media app now sending users aged under 18 alerts letting them know they've spent an hour scrolling. This will be the default setting on the phone. However, you can disable it, with kids then encouraged to set daily time limits for their use. The changes will come into effect in the next few weeks and follows both the United States and Canada banning the app on government-issued phones due to espionage concerns.
And in New South Wales, police are investigating after a baby was filmed vaping. Footage shows the 11-month-old inhaling the vape before breathing out the smoke as people in the background laugh. It's understood the video was filmed in Kempsey in the state's north. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Footy First and Adelaide chairman John Olson is making no apologies for the club's bold plan to win a flag within 5 years. Olson telling David and Will everything is tracking in the right direction for the ultimate success.
I just get this sense that this club and the playing group and the assistant coaches under Matthew Nix have a very clear, defined strategy, and that journey has come to the point that over the next 5 years we should be in the position of a premiership win.
Love it. The Crows will train today ahead of their practice match against West Coast tomorrow night, while Port Adelaide will play against Fremantle in its practice match tonight. To cricket now, and Australia is in a strong position after day one of the third test in indoor. The Aussies dismissed the home side for only 109. Matt Kuhneman the standout with figures of 5 for 16, and the tourists reached 4 for 156 at stumps in reply. To soccer now, Liverpool's climb up the EPL table continues after claiming a 2-0 win at home against Wolverhampton. The Reds opened the scoring in the 73rd minute through defender Virgil van Dijk before Mo Salah doubled their advantage a few minutes later.
Full steam ahead, looking for Salah! That's more like the old Liverpool.
Yeah, they're looking better. Audio thanks to Optus. The Reds are now up to 6th. Meantime, Arsenal has moved 5 points clear at the top of the table after crushing Everton 4-0 at home. And in FA Cup action, Manchester United has come from a goal down to beat West Ham 3-1, while Sheffield United stunned Tottenham 1-0. Burnley beat Fleetwood Town 1-0, while Grimsby Town upset Southampton 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Bathroom Works quick and affordable bathroom makeovers. Get a quote at bathroomwerx.com.
Good morning. Roads flowing pretty well this morning. Got a few delays around Salisbury Highway and the Port Wakefield Road intersection at the moment. Also South Road at Mile End, quite busy. Works are slow at Modbury. That's Reservoir Road near Rapalli Drive. And we are seeing some slow activity too with works at Queenstown. Got a lane closed there, Port Road near Westport Avenue. Cameras this morning, Cudmore Terrace, Henley Beach and Marshall Terrace at Brooklyn Park. At Specsavers, get 20% off ultra clear, super clean polarised lenses and more with any frame purchased. Offer ends May 24. Conditions apply. Should have gone to Specsavers. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Tintillating, subversive, Rouge is back with death-defying acrobatics, grandiose cabaret and twisted burlesque. Book via the Fringe.
Partly cloudy and 24 today, sunny tomorrow, 27, 28 on Saturday and 29 for Sunday before an evening shower. Right now, 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 9. Fringe is well and truly here. Good to see some of the great shows coming back time and time again as well. 27 Club is something we've spoken about in the past. This is this wonderful show featuring the lives of the famous group of 20 musicians who died at the age of just 27. But among them,
it's a long list.
Some of the most famous performers you're likely ever to come across.
Just trying to think off the top of my head. Jim Morrison,
Janis Joplin,
Jeff Buckley, was he 27?
Amy Winehouse.
What about Kurt? 27.
Am I allowed to start talking?
You are, Sarah. We got Sarah McLeod in the studio.
I'm just sitting here quietly nodding, like, am I allowed to just get in there, or do I have to be introduced? Yes, the list is long and glorious, and the songs are amazing, and that's our 27 Club show. Thank you very much, and good night.
One of the nice things when it comes to Fringe time, Sarah, and you don't need much of an introduction. As we were saying, you've been in here at 5AA a number of times.
I have, yeah.
Conversations with Cornsey, you did. That people can go and listen to.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But one of the nice things that's around this time of year is get to talk to artists and performers who are off going, seeing the shows themselves. You were at the Gov last night, getting that for the first time as a punter.
My first time as a punter at the Gov, yeah. I walked through the front door. I had held out my little ticket, and I was like, okay, this is how you get in. I didn't know. I've never been in the front door. I was going in the back door. I didn't even know there was a front door. Whoops, I broke the mic. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I'm destroying the joint.
We use cheap gear here.
I can see that. God,
we
take
didn't
much
get that
force.
from Derringers.
Yeah. You're using the one that doesn't have sticky tape on it, I think. So
Yeah,
that's the good one. That was the good one.
What about this one next to me with this wire hanging out? That looks like a good one.
That's the rock and roll in here.
That's the paperclip one.
What about this one? Like, seriously, what is going on here? Guys.
We like to call it lo-fi. We like the sort of guided by
Budget
voices
cuts.
of broadcasters in here.
That's right, mine works great. You can still hear me, right?
Now, I'm trying to think. I've seen you guys in so many, like your band, the Super Gs. I've seen you in the back bar at the Austral. I saw you down at Port Adelaide at that great concert with You and I and the Hoodoo Gurus a few years ago, which was the day after the 46-degree day.
Oh, yes.
When it started raining and the temperature dropped about 15 degrees. But you guys, your band, you've been like part of the Adelaide firmament for 3 decades now. How did all that happen so quickly?
I don't know. David, I don't know how the time flies so quickly. I just wake up and it's a new day and I'm still alive and I just keep going. But yeah, it does move quick because I was thinking the other day, like, I always think that you put a record out and then you work on the next record and then you put it out and the time flies. But it's been 20 years since we put out a full-length record. And that doesn't seem like that long ago. And then the other day, I was working on some songs for my solo record, and I thought, when was the last time I put out a solo record? 2016. I'm like, oh my God, that's like 6 years. It seems like just a couple of years ago. So, I don't know how it happens, but you wake up and poof, there it's gone.
What was the moment when you knew? Because I reckon it wasn't long after I'd moved to Sydney, and was it your EP was called 8 Step Rail?
Yeah, that was our first release.
Because I remember buying that at a record store in Sydney, and mates of mine over there were saying, "Oh, did you ever see this band from Adelaide called the Super Gs?" Like, yeah, I saw them quite a few times, and it must be a nice feeling as an artist. Like, when did you get the sense that you were taking off?
I think probably when we put out Sumo, or just before Sumo, like, because 8 Step Rail is like a 5-track EP that we did quite cheaply, and we won an ARIA for it.
Yeah.
Did we win 2 ARIAs for it? We won. Hang on, did we win 2? We won 1 or 2. I think 2 actually for that one. I think, yeah. And we were like, okay, that's not what we expected. And suddenly we were touring and we were on Big Day Out. We had a manager and a record company. And that all happened really quickly. That was like all within space of about 8 months.
Because Sumo was the first full-length record, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this was just before Sumo.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I was sleeping on my Auntie Jenny's floor out in Cumberland Park because I didn't have anywhere to live. And she looked after me. And I was just touring all the time with the guys, and we just sort of did what we did, and we were in our own little bubble, and we didn't really know what was going on in the outside world because it was all happening so fast, and we would just sort of stick with each other and, what is going on here? And and then suddenly we were touring internationally, and then we went to Atlanta and spent a mozza making sumo. We spent so much money making sumo, and we just kept thinking, because we didn't know money like that. That's big money to us. We were still like, oh wow, like, bought this record and it cost me $20, so we were just kind of going with the flow, and it was all a bit overwhelming. But yeah, it was quick. It wasn't like a gradual thing. We knew pretty quickly that we were in the eye of the hurricane.
It was 2 ARIAs for 8 Step Rail and 4 nominations and 1 win for Sumo.
Yeah,
pretty solid run there for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was a bit of a dream run actually at the beginning, and yeah, we're still going after all these years. It was like 30 years later or something.
Because you stopped for a while and you got back together about 10 years ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago. Yep.
Yeah.
On my 40th birthday, it was our first show back at the Gov. So it was exactly 10 years ago.
Fantastic.
So what draws you doing a show like the 27 Club then?
Material, if the producers are cool, and if the people that are in the show are cool, and if the script is cool. So, like, I always ask, like, show me show me the script. What music are we doing? And I think, can I see myself singing that music? Can I see myself saying that script?
Yeah.
Can I pull that off? And then I go, who else is doing it? Because, I want to make sure that I'm in cool company. And then if all those ducks are in alignment, then I go, no, who's producing it? And make sure that they're not morons. And if, all the planets align, I go, that sounds fun. And which was exactly what happened with the 27 Club. They said, this is the material you want to do. Here's the kind of things that you'll be saying. Here are the people that you're going to be doing it with. And I was like, bam, 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 unreal. Where do I sign?
What was the song that clinched you? Was there is there a musical component of it that you went, actually, I can totally see myself doing this?
Yeah, because they said to me, we want you to do some Janis Joplin. And I was like, yeah, because I sort of only knew the obvious Janis Joplin songs at the time. So I was like, okay, I need to do a bit of Janis Joplin research because someone like me should know more about Joplin. For God's sake, like, why don't I know more about Janis Joplin? I'm a female rock singer. I should know. She's a pioneer. So I did a bit of research. And the first song that came up was this track called Cry Baby. And I hadn't heard it before. And I was like, oh, that is cool. That is so cool. And I was thinking, can I pull that off? That sounds hard. And I just sort of just sat there and sang along. And I went, yes, I can pull that off. And then I recorded myself singing it into my dictaphone. And I sent it to the producers and went, I've just realised I can pull this off. Can I sing this song? And they're like, yeah, you can totally sing that. So I was like, all right, great, I'm in.
You're right, though, because I reckon I can only instinctively just say Piece of My Heart. I can't think of other Janis Joplin songs.
Yeah, totally. I was the same. And Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, Lord, Won't You Buy Me, etc.
Yeah, and since then I've found heaps of songs of hers that I like. Her feel is unbelievable.
Have you got a favourite female vocalist of all time?
Probably.
Pretty hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but I mean, as a female vocalist or like as an artist? Because as an artist, PJ Harvey would be my favourite artist. As a singer, I mean, Pink's got a pretty wild voice.
Yeah.
She's got a consistent, like, amazing voice, and smooth and then rough, but totally controlled all the way. Yeah.
What do you think of music today?
You know who's a bloody good singer? Carla Lippis.
Carla Lippis.
Carla Lippis, who was in the 27 Club with us, she's teaching me a thing or two about vocal control. She sings all the Hendrix songs, and she sings some Amy Winehouse songs. And the way she puts Jimi Hendrix, and she does this amazing Nirvana song too, the way she puts the passion and the pain and the soul into what she sings is like blowing my mind. Like, I'm sitting there every night with her going, so how do you do this again? Like, she's like a lesson in vocal training. So I'm getting some tips from her.
That's the thing. And maybe it's an outside perception that's wrong, but the thing I love hearing about musicians is, perhaps above any other industry, seems to be a real celebration of other people's skills and successes. It's sort of an admiration of, wow, how do they do that? Well, that's awesome. And it never seems to be, it doesn't seem to be jealous. It just seems
not
to be
like us talking about other radio stations.
Yeah, we say, how do they do that? Now, how do we destroy them?
Yeah, totally. There can be only one.
But I mean, is that just from the outside? Is it different when you're in it, or is that a fair characterisation of how musicians sort of interact?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do. People I know do, because it's inspiring. You see someone doing something good, and instead of going, oh, I'm jealous about that, I want to do that, get out of here, or like, instead of doing that, you go, okay, what is it that you're doing? How can I learn from you, and how can I put that into what I do, so that I can use it as an asset. Everything that you hear that you're inspired by is like a flavour in your dish, And life as an artist, you're constantly evolving your own dish. It's like your flagship, your chef's suggestion.
So because you're never a finished product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like much new stuff, or do you find yourself looking backwards to stuff that's already out there?
No, I listen to a lot of new stuff, actually. I really love modern pop production. I love the sound of like Lana Del Rey records. I love Harry Styles. I love Miley Cyrus. I love Taylor Swift. Like those those Folklore, that record is just so beautiful.
Record.
Beautiful, yeah. And the production is amazing, just great songwriting.
Well, we've loved having you in, Sarah. It sounds like an absolute cracking show.
I'm just looking at the Gluttony website right now. So it looks like there's some tickets available. So you're on right through to the rest of the week until Sunday.
Yeah, so it's our last week, and it's our third year. Last week, we're getting really good audiences every night, consistent, strong audiences, and everyone is just sitting there with a grin from ear to ear. Like, it's a tight show. It goes for an hour. It's action-packed. All the songs are great. There's no lull moments. It's so well curated. and people just are having a really good time. We're on stage the whole time, so if we're not singing, we're sitting on couches. There's a little sort of lounge room set up next to us. So we just sit there and drink beer, and we get up and sing a song and sit down and wave at the audience. And it's just really, it's tight, but it's loose, you know.
Yeah, everyone raves about it. It is one of the highlights of the Fringe calendar. And as I say, you can get tickets by going to gluttony.net.au. Sarah, great to have you in. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, fellas.
Cheers, Sarah. Let's check traffic.
Thanks, Will. Roads looking pretty good for the driving today. Accident and breakdown free across most of the areas, which is excellent. Got a few delays due to heavy conditions at the Salisbury Highway and Port Wakefield Road intersection. Also busy South Road at Mile End. Slow going for works at Modbury, Reservoir Road near Lapalli Drive. Also sluggish at Hindmarsh 2 due to works Manton Street near Milner Street. Cameras, Adelphi Terrace, Glenelg North and Walla Road at Penfield. OTR's Eat Wraps, sandwiches and salads made with fresh quality ingredients, only $5 Monday to Wednesday for a limited time. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA mornings, the issue of rail safety and reports of people pushing the pedestrian gates open just to catch the train as another one approaches makes you wonder how effective they are. Also, Hank Yongan from Centrelink here to take your calls. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Join me 5AA mornings from 9 o'clock.
With Ned's Same Race Multi, get bigger odds by selecting 2 to 4 runners to finish anywhere inside the top 4 in the same race. Use it on Randwick Guineas Day. Take it to the Ned's level. T's and C's apply. See website for details. You win some, you lose more.
Right now, we need a saviour. A mortgage saviour. Last week, one 5AA listener rang Vince at Mortgage Saviour. They reworked their mortgage payments and saved $9,000 just in the first year. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. With more interest rate hikes on the horizon, it's important to talk to Vince at Mortgage Saviour on 1300 99 886. Find out what a mortgage saviour can do for you. Go to mortgagesaviour.com.au. T's and C's apply.
The Southern Volkswagen 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery. Get in quick and don't miss the 22 plate clearance only at Southern Volkswagen.
LVD 152780.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. See classic F1 cars, Group A, V8 supercars, alongside electric race cars and brand displays at Victoria Park, March 25 and 26. Search Adelaide Motorsport Festival.
At Specsavers, we understand how important it is to hear well. We also understand that right now, the last thing you need is to pay more than you should for hearing aids. That's why this Hearing Awareness Week, we're making some noise. Because you deserve to know what you'll pay straight away with upfront prices. And our everyday low prices on latest tech hearing aids doesn't mean you compromise on quality or expert care. So for hearing care for all, not the few, should have gone to Specsavers.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
9 to 9, behind closed doors coming up in just a moment. But first, let's catch up with Sam Datto, who's out on the road for us this morning. Sam, good morning to you again.
Morning, guys. I heard your text message just before 8:30 about the guy complaining about too much Crows chat. So just in the interest of fairness, head down to the precinct at Alberton. It is amazing. But this morning, I find myself down at King's Reserve. I thought I'd make the trek down here to Theberton after having Olson on just before, your club chairman. So just running through what the Crows are planning to do down here. The reorientation of Thebe Oval. They're going to bring in some internal connecting roads and car parks. Obviously, bump up the sporting facilities, a new footy building, new playground area, open lawn and new tree planting on King's Reserve, temporary event parking and access, that's for game days. Talking more about Theberton Oval, any new light infrastructure will be subject to development approvals. Public access to Thebe Oval and the secondary oval open spaces will be maximised during daylight hours. The big one for the locals down here, access to the King's Reserve will not preclude pedestrians and dog walking, with access to King's Reserve area for dogs maintained as it currently is. The community engagement survey is available online or here at the Theberton Community Centre. But a few moments ago, before I jump to that, this morning I've been here for about 40 minutes. 14 people and 9 dogs have been using the reserve, so there are people using it. And a few moments ago I caught up with Harry and Josie. Josie, how often would you use this reserve?
I come every morning during the week, and on weekends I probably come twice a day.
Harry, have you?
Yeah, same, at least 6 days a week.
Thoughts on the whole Crows redevelopment and them wanting to move in here?
I'm not in favour, to be honest. I'm quite happy for them to take Theberton Oval over there and use that, but we really would like to retain this space for community use and not have it developed.
My biggest concern is the increase of traffic. We already have, with the brickworks, a huge lineups on Ashland Parade every day, and bringing in the Crows is going to bring extra traffic, and I think any redevelopment really needs to consider traffic flow on a bigger scale in this suburb. It's also, I don't mind the idea of the Crows taking Theberton Oval. I think that's a great idea, but I really worry about the second MCG-sized pitch that they're proposing, where we're going to lose trees and lose our green space.
So yeah, that's the view down here at Kings Reserve this morning, guys.
Good on you, Sam. Thank you. I mean, none of that. No one loses access. The MCG-sized pitch is just white lines painted on the grass. You still got the grass.
Mm. Yeah. Well, people have got every right to say what they think about how things are going to.
You still walk your dog down there,
local area.
Yeah, people can say what they think. Doesn't make them right.
No, it doesn't necessarily make them right, but yeah, it's been a long and drawn out process.
They should. You know what? The Crows. There needs to be a plan B. If residents are going
to kick it, be Plan D.
Yeah, well, but
it will be Plan D.
It will be Plan D.
Aquatic Centre, Brompton, Theberton. What's next?
Morphettville. Do it at the Morphettville redevelopment. Put it in the middle of Morphettville Racecourse like they do in other parts of the country where they develop the middle of them.
Well, there's a whole stack of land there.
Why not?
Aren't the horse training facilities moving?
Yeah.
But isn't it too far away from town? Wouldn't that be the argument? It's a 15-minute drive. Well, on a good day.
At what point?
Not in peak
you know what?
Peak
You want to make club rooms convenient, but at some point in time, you want to build a state-of-the-art facility that a club that aspires to win a premiership in the next 5 years can achieve that. And I think you've got to put the well-being of the actual. The club exists to play football, and that needs to be the overriding outcome of a headquarters.
The person who's gone closest to actually going into bat 100% for the Adelaide Football Club is one of South Australia's biggest port tragics, and it's Peter Malinauskas. And I know he did it with one eye on the election result, but during the campaign where he said, listen, this whole tendering thing with Bowden, and I know it didn't end up getting pursued and there were legal issues around it and all that, but when he went into bat for Bowden and said this is exactly the kind of thing that will be perfect for what is actually his electorate as well, that was the first time since the Adelaide Oval upgrade that a political leader in this state had recognised that the Adelaide Football Club, whether you like them or not, it is the biggest organisation in South Australia. Yet it's been treated by so many people in politics, particularly at the local government level, as almost like, an organisation you need to rally against.
We are very lucky that in this country...
Do they do that in Dallas with
no,
the Cowboys?
Here's the point.
Do they do that in Manchester?
Here's the point. We are incredibly lucky that we live in a country with a major sporting code that does licensing and not franchising. Because if it were the case that these were clubs privately owned by billionaires, the Adelaide Crows would get up and leave. They would leave. And you look at the last 50 years of American sporting history and tell me that is an unrealistic point of view. If they don't get sympathetic local governments, they move to another city.
Well, the problem
if you get local residents saying, we don't want you here, guess what they do? They leave. We are lucky. We are lucky that that's not the case in Australia.
The problem, too, is that the 85% or whatever it is of residents in Theberton and environs who couldn't give a toss about this either way, they're not the dominant voice in this.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at the fuel situation before we wrap up. We've got some John Blake coming up for you in just a moment as well. Petrol pricing stable in the $1.60s range at the moment. $1.64 at the Mobile X on Marion Road at Netley. $1.66 at the Coles Express on Montague Road in Paravista. $1.65 at the Ampole on Eastern Parade at Gilman, and in the city $1.68 on Pulteney Street. Diesel ranging from $1.85 in Grange up to $1.92 in Kensington Gardens. You can download the free My RAA app to find the cheapest fuel in an instant. It's time for Behind Closed Doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind
the FIVEAA Sports Show, Rowie and Timmy G.
Yeah, welcome along to the Sports Show. Timmy G with you and Stephen Rowe. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm really
hump, Jimmy, because it's almost here.
Yeah, that's right.
The footy season is almost here.
It sure is a little over 2 weeks and we're underway.
Yeah, I can't wait. The Crows have got their AGM coming up, Timmy G.
Yeah, they're bouncing back. It should be a good one. Everyone's being positive.
Well, look, as a member and a past player and a lover of the game, and whether it's a flag or a top four or sustained success for the club, I want to see them aspire to greatness on the field.
And can they achieve that, Stephen?
Well, there's no reason why they can't aspire to dream to be that.
Right.
They can look up to the pinnacle of what it is they want to achieve at the level of the elite skill against the odds of what it is that gives them the drive to sit on top of the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
And they can have the will to do it if that's their mission statement or their ambition or their ambitional mission statement for the future achievements of what it is that's going to make them great at a competition that is a field of dreams made on the back of the great tradition of football of the... Well, look, you fall down from that and you come down from the top of the upper level of greatness to somehow realise that what is the thing that you do to make it is what you want to happen in the ultimate of winning flags and making it achievable of the thing that you aspire to as a club that's trying to aspire.
I'm getting a little lost, but I know you mean well.
Well, I'm just saying, Timmy G, that if you want to win flags, all you need is a good footy director, a good coach, good recruitment, get a good list manager, the best players and the best facilities and everything that is the best and the elitist that you can get. And then, if you're slightly better than all the other teams, then you're laughing.
I think you should be on the Crows board.
Our excellent Albany correspondent Dave Lloyd's made the point that you better get a move on with that headquarters. You'll need somewhere to celebrate the Premiership. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, don't miss the Will and Lucy show tomorrow. I will be back on Monday like Steve Austin in The $6 Million Man with my new bionic left eye.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have tickets to 27 Club at Gluttony. You just heard from Sarah McLeod a moment ago. She was a hell of a lot of fun. If you want to get along and see the show, give us a call right now, 8223 0000. 27 Club at Gluttony in Rymel Park, home of the biggest shows this Fringe. Tickets from gluttony.net.au. Catch you tomorrow.
The Southgate GWM and Havel 22 plate clearance is on now. Incredible deals across the range and vehicles in stock ready for immediate delivery.